What's up? What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I am your host, Coach Renz, and today on the podcast, we are going to discuss a historical Jesus. It's fictional, or at best, he has been a legendized. He is a legend at best. The fact remains that we're going to discuss the aspects of what Christians claim that makes Jesus a historical character, as well as what the truth actually really is, and some of the bad comparisons that they like to do when concerned about this God of theirs. So I look forward to this conversation today. I apologize for starting an hour late. Had a lot of things going on today, but I apologize for starting an hour late. I try to start as close to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time as I possibly can. Just as a reminder, tomorrow, I don't know when the show is going to go tomorrow because I have a doctor's appointment at 11:15 in the morning. So I have no idea about tomorrow. I don't know what time I'm going to get back here. Probably won't even get back here. It's about 2 o'clock or something like that, 2, 3 o'clock. So it might be a late afternoon show or something like that. No, we can't. Hell, I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. But anyway. So I hope you guys have been some people. We've got some more people that signed up for the business seminar that I'm going to do on Sunday, which is you can find it in the description of the Facebook of the YouTube video. Sorry, today's YouTube video. I will also put it in the comments right now so that it is in the early portions of the comments of the YouTube and Facebook version. So at Coach Renz 33 on Facebook and YouTube, you'll be able to see this link. 9 businesses you need to start in 2026. One of my top favorite subjects. I got 3 top favorite subjects, and business is one of those subject matters. And as I've said multiple times before, if you are deconstructing from Christianity, yes, now you should have an extra 10% of your income that is now within your pocket. You need to know how to invest that 10% of income so that it can bring you about the financial wealth that the Christian Bible and the Christian pastors have been lying to you about for your entire life. Now you need to understand what you need to do. If you've been, doing that job and now you want to do something different, I got something for you. And it is not network marketing. Let me be clear. It is not any kind of or any form of network marketing. I just thought about that, and let me be clear about it. I don't do those. So that's not what it is. So don't think you're going to come and hear some bullshit like that. Exactly. Tied to thyself. Now, nothing wrong with people who do network marketing. It's just not for me. If I own a business, I got to own the business. I got to own the actual business. I owned my cigar lounge. I owned my popcorn shop. I owned my gym. I own my businesses. I do not do network marketing to our businesses. Because it's not truly a business. But anyway, not going to go there. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about 9 different businesses that you need to be involved in. Everything from digital to actual brick and mortar. All right. Richest Man in Babylon. Yes, that's one of my favorite books of all time. War Gardner. That's one of my favorite books of all time. The Richest Man in Babylon. One of my favorite books. Absolutely. But you got to be able to know where the market is, where the attention is right now and where the attention is going. And that's what we're going to talk about on Sunday. So go to the Eventbrite link that I post on the description of the YouTube video. The YouTube video, and that I just posted in the comments of YouTube and Facebook. If you want to do that, So anything else we need to do? Got still people. There's still some cabins that are available. I don't control them. Cabins are still available for our next year, October 31st, 2026 cruise that we're taking out of New Orleans. I'm taking the cruise out of New Orleans. 5-day joint going out the Carnival cruise ship Valor going to Yucatan Peninsula. We're going to take and we're buying the tour for Cenote, and because we're going to go to Chichen Itza, going to see the pyramid. But we're doing the Cenote one because that includes a buffet, and it's a 7-hour trip. I ain't trying to carry 7 hours worth of food. So, or, buying whatever is available. I already have something ready for me. So yes, so we are doing that October. That's our meetup for next year. Still working with this guy to see, and that's what took me a little bit of time today trying to have this conversation. about another meetup this spring, but we're working on that one. We're gonna see how it goes as far as that's concerned. But we are here. We are here. We are here. So let's make the case. Let's make the case. Quite oftentimes, Christians like to say that, oh, even the historians, they say that, Jesus is a historical character, that he was a real life being that actually walked on the earth, and that the story is based off of him. There's actually, I can't stand the fact that some historians have given into political pressure and have given into the cultural pressure of legitimizing even that aspect of the Jesus character. There's absolutely no way possible that the Jesus of the Bible is a historical character. And I did say at best legendized, but let's first start with him as a historical character. The first aspect of it is that Jesus, if there was, when these Messiah types, and understand all throughout since the Assyrian captivity through the Persians, Babylonian, but especially when the Greek captivity and into the Roman captivity, almost every Passover, there was some little itinerant preacher who was claiming to be the Messiah. The Maccabees were claimed to be a Messiah because they actually did revolt against the Greeks and set up a little mini kingdom inside of the Greek Empire. But you had multiple people trying to start revolts every year. And under the Romans, this was happening to the extent where Pontius Pilate was punishing people to such a severity that the Emperor Titus, I was going to say Titus, but it's not Titus. Emperor Augustus was like, dude, I'm going to have you put in jail. I got it. You doing too much. All right. I understand that these revolts are a nuisance, but you're doing too damn much. Like Pontius Pilate was that cruel that he was being called back to Rome, but the emperor died on his way back to Rome. That's how cruel Pilate was, which is one of the reasons why this story is centered in the time frame of Pilate. And this is and this is after Nero dies in 64. So this is after 64 when Pilate is called up to Rome and is no longer the governor of Rome. But there were these many revolts happening all the time. These people are not important people in history. People didn't really write about them. Contemporary historians of that day didn't write about those people. If you were to go and look at any contemporary historian, and when I say contemporary historian, what I'm talking about is a historian who was alive in early first century. No one wrote about any of those guys. Not now one of them. You had some stories, you had people talking, that sort of thing, but nobody wrote about them. And because they weren't important. They weren't important enough to remember. Right? So you got people claiming to be Messiah types all throughout first century. Yeah, Josephus writes about 3 or 4 of them, about these different Messiah types. And he is not born until 34. Josephus, I think it was 34. Yeah, around 34 is when Josephus is born. So he's hearing grandma stories. He's hearing grandpa stories. He's hearing uncle stories, right? He's reading what other previous historians have written. He's not necessarily an eyewitness to anything. So the interpolation that you have within Josephus's writings about a Jesus character who was more than a man, if he was a man, is a lie. It's a forgery. It's a simple forgery. Now, he wrote about a Yeshua who was the son of Damnius, and he wrote about, Yeshua who had a brother named James. He wrote about a Yeshua that was a high priest. He wrote about a Yeshua that did flip some tables. But none of them are the Jesus of the Bible. None of them are an historical character. Now, another thing that the Christians like to bring out is Tacitus. And I'm not going to give up all the ghosts on here, because if we do have a conversation with one of them, I want to leave them some room to mess themselves up. But they like to bring out people like Tacitus. Tacitus, who's writing in the late first century, early second century, wasn't alive at the time frame that Jesus supposedly was running around. He's writing about what people believed, not what he saw, nor what he determined to be true, but just what people believed. And he even gave them a name that led some historians and some people to think that he actually wasn't even talking about the Christians that believed in the Jesus character, that he's talking about a group of people who followed a person named Crestius, who was prior to Jesus. So there are some circles of people who look at what Tacitus wrote and think he ain't even talking about your Christians. He ain't talking about Jesus, the Jesus followers. He's talking about the followers of Crestius. Because the way that it is worded, it would indicate that the Crestius was the name of the person, not a title. You say, why am I not on Facebook? It says that I am. It says that I'm live on Facebook. But as I check this out, but I appreciate that, Rupert, for letting me know. This Jesus character, as far as them saying that Tacitus validates the Jesus character, that is just simply not true. And there's plenty of information to prove otherwise. It is live on Facebook, Rupert. Yeah, see Kevin's comment. Oh, I could have known that anyway. Yeah, one of the pictures up there is Caesarea Borgia. Yeah. So anyway, Tacitus is not actually proof of a historical Jesus. It's proof of what people believed by late first century into second century. It's just what people believed if he was talking about Jesus alone. But there's another little gotcha. If anybody were to bring up Tacitus, I'm gonna save it because I don't want to bring it. I don't want to give up the Holy Ghost now. I want to bring up the Holy Ghost now. I want to save it. I want to savor it. I want to use it at the right moment. But even if this Jesus character was a true character, as Debbie just stole it right out my mouth. So let me put it up here. Even if the Jesus character was a true character, the Jesus character is a horrible person, to be honest. The aspect of this Jesus who called the Canaanite woman a dog, the one who stole somebody's colt or donkey, the one who committed property crimes and ran this man pigs off into the ditch over the cliff. The Jesus character who came in and, couldn't just tell the people about his father, his kingdom, and get them out of the church. Now he got to pick a whip up and start beating the shit out of people. The one that fussed at his mama, then claimed that who is my mother? The man ain't all right. He ain't all sunshines and rainbows as they portray him. And if the Trinity is correct, then he is the God of the Old Testament. We know that's a bastard. The God of the Old Testament is certainly a bastard. So, who was the writer? Who was the writer that he was the lover of Shakespeare? I have no idea. The lover of Shakespeare. Don't know. Do you think the Gnostics had a better theology? Certainly better than the Christian theology, but filled with holes as well. Because you have to have the Pleroma, the Sophia, the Yaldabaoth, and then your soul was trapped down here by the Yaldabaoth, and now you got to get knowledge in order to get back to the Pleroma, because the Pleroma just sitting on his hands doing nothing about the fact that the full masculine side of himself created a universe that is entrapping other souls of itself. The Pleroma then would be an asshole, be a bad father, be a bad entity, not, protecting his children, just letting the Yaldabaoth go do whatever you want to do. And instead he sends a Jesus character to say that, oh, you must obtain knowledge. Why not just kick Yaldabaoth ass and get rid of Yaldabaoth, or reabsorb Yaldabaoth back into the Plamora, so that the people here can then if your soul spark here can then just go back to the Plamora itself. So the whole Gnostic idea is just as fallible as the Christian idea. It still creates this deity who's doing nothing but allowing for shit to happen, and then send somebody to try to tell you and convince you, and so that you can learn. And only those who ascend can then finally know it's a bunch of bullshit, the same way as the Bible is a bunch of bullshit. The Gnostics are no better than the Christians. So and they are still the Gnostic teachings. When you read the Gnostic teaching, you see a whole bunch of patriarchal bullshit as well, and you see a bunch of cultural moralities in their writings as well. So yeah, they know better. They know better. Yeah, they're no better. They're in the same level of slavery as everybody else. But that was a good question. Thanks for asking. Let's see. There's nobody in the inboxes, but if you think now, there is the possibility. Let's just say there was a Jesus character that actually existed. That there was an itinerant preacher who, in the early first century, around 27, somewhere between 27 and 30, 33, he decided that he was going to revolt against the Roman Empire. And he was teaching a new message, a new form of Judaism, right? Let's say that there was some dude like that, and he was just a teacher. He was just teaching. And then he flipped over some tables at some churches, caused a revolt within the church. You know, now the people in the he messing with the money. If you want to die, mess with the people in power's money. You mess with their money, you're gonna die. Now, if he was just walking around preaching, they probably would have left him alone. But when you start messing with the money, flipping tables, taking the money changers out, and for people who don't understand, the money changers originally are set up there so that if you look at the Old Testament, it's in the Old Testament, you were supposed to bring 50 pieces of silver or 20 pieces of silver, depending upon what you was coming to temple for, right? Did your woman just have a baby? Did y'all just, is a certain celebration time frame, certain you was bringing a donation. And when you got there, you're supposed to get some shekels, but instead of shekels, you brought a goat. So now they're going to give you the value in shekels for the goat. And then you go in and you do your little whatever you need to do, and you're done. And the church got money, right? The church got money. That was the money changers. That was there for that, especially once Hezekiah through the reign of Hezekiah down to Josiah, when they centralized worship in Jerusalem, then that created a super power structure of finances with the priesthood. So got to get them shekels. Well, if this Jesus character came in and he flipping the tables that the church has set up, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, Sadducees, whoever is in charge of the temple, now set this thing up, and this is how they getting their money. See, remember the Levites didn't get an inheritance. They didn't get land. They didn't get nothing. They just a priesthood, kind of like your pastors today. They're just a priesthood. They are able to live based on the gifts that are given to the church. Well, by this time frame, of course, like all churches, eventually they become corrupt. Eventually, the pastors become the wealthier people, or they join that upper echelon. So here comes Jesus in Jerusalem, the main center, because everything has been centered in Jerusalem for Passover. Passover, you know how we're in the season where most companies make 33% of their money during the holiday season. And depending upon how well companies do during this season will dictate how well they do for the rest of the year. right? This is the season. You have a bad Christmas, your stocks are gonna drop, and your cash flow is gonna drop. You got to make some changes, and hopefully next year you can make it back up. The time frame for Passover was their holiday season. This when they make the most money. This when the church gonna make more money than any other time frame. And if there was a character who came in and flipped some tables, he messing with the money. See, exactly, David. He was a threat to the church. You messing with the money. Don't. I just showed my wife for the first time that Morgan Freeman, when he was robbing this, he was doing a bank heist. He said, "We just want the money." Shit. To hear Morgan Freeman say that was funny as hell. But that's what the priest was like. They just want the money. You can go and preach all you want to. Say what you want to say. Be a pastor on the side. But don't mess with the money. Jesus messed with the money. If there was a Jesus character, if there was an itinerant preacher who flipped some tables, messed with the money, then yes, they would want him to be dead. They're going to try to kill him. They would get the Roman government involved. And maybe this person, and is there a possibility that there was an itinerant preacher who flipped some tables? According to Josephus, there was a dude who went in there and flipped some tables, who was upset with the way the church was being ran. And it could have been a guy who went in there and he flipped some tables, messed with the money system, exposed the church for their financial mistreatment of the people or mistreatment of people's finances. Could have happened. And if a pastor did do that, then the Roman government is going to support the church because the church is paying the Roman government a temple tax. You got to remember this aspect of it too. The Jews had a special privilege tax. In order for them not to have to worship Caesar and not put a statue of Caesar inside of their temple, they just paid a temple tax to the Roman government, and then they didn't have to do it. So Rome messing with the church money is messing with Rome's money. So Pontius Pilate would have been like, "Oh, hell no," because you're messing with the money. And he could have been crucified. It's possible. We know that just throughout history, you can commit murder and get off and be out of jail in 7 years. You mess with the money, 25 years, 40, 50 years when you mess with the money. So it's possible that is all that the story is. An itinerant preacher who messed with the money and then got killed. But then people start making up stories. People start adding to it. Oh, he resurrected. I saw him. I saw you and him last night walking in the rain. Y'all was holding hands. And the world has never been the same. Only a few people will know what I'm talking about on that one. Put a 1 in the comment if you knew where that came from. That little last part of some people making up a story. Alan get it. All right. I know my age appropriate people gonna get that one. I know my age appropriate's gonna get that one. That's right. Some of his people, they saw Jesus walking in the rain, holding hands. It was a song for those for the younger ones on here. That was a song. Who was it? Orange Juice Jones. I saw you walking in the rain. So he was walking in the rain. So they saw Jesus walking in the rain. He now woke up and everything. And I'm gonna start using that a lot. And then they start legendizing the story. This is one of the reasons why when you read the Bible, if you read them in order of so-called authenticity, read Mark, then Matthew, then Luke, then John, you will see that the number of miracles increase. You'll see the number of miracles increase. Right? You'll see like the number of people that he fed and increased from 4,000 or 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000. You'll see miracles in John that you don't see in Mark. The story becomes the story of your grandfather. He tell you about, oh boy, I tell you when, Well, I gotta tell you, we gotta go back to Ohio. We gotta go back to Ohio because when I was in Ohio and I went fishing up there, you know, that and I was with your Uncle Bud. I was with your Uncle Bud, and Uncle Bud, we cast that line and hope I got hope to it. I mean, I thought the line was gonna break. Next thing you know, they went fishing, but the fish was this big. And by the time me as the grandson get there, it's a big fish. It's a 40-pound catfish. You know, go listen to my grandma. It's like he ain't catching nothing but some regular old little catfish. But let him tell it. When we went to Ohio, my grandfather caught this big 40-pound catfish. And I'm not a fisherman. So, but he claimed he caught this big 40-pound catfish up in Ohio. Now, of course, this is after we ain't been up to Ohio for a long time. So, and he claimed it happened before I was born. And that's how the Jesus story is. It's a big old catfish story that your grandpa told you. I'm pretty sure, like when my Marine Corps unit made me go deep sea fishing with them or Gulf fishing in the Gulf, I caught a 19-inch grouper and they made me throw it back because it had to be 21 inches. And at that point, I was done. And I just sat on the boat. Let my best friend Brandon tell you the story. He'll tell you that it was a 19-inch grouper. But he'll tell you that I got all mad and didn't want to participate no more. And then because I was feeling a little seasick, I went and sat over there and pouted the whole time. I fell asleep. But let Brandon tell it. And I'm mad and I'm pouting. You see what I'm saying? That's how it goes. They tell the fish story. The fish story get bigger and bigger. So the Jesus story becomes legendized, right? It gets into something that don't exist. And then more and more time goes by and more stories are being told. And then we got to start adding to the story. And the disciples were so convinced and believed in this God so much and knew it that they were willing to die for it. And why would they die for a lie? Why would they die for it? Tertullian, the first person to ever say, and John was boiled in oil and survived and was unharmed, and Peter was crucified. And he said, I am not even worthy to be crucified in the same way as my Lord crucified me upside down. And then St. Augustine was on a cross, on an X cross, because it couldn't be on a regular cross. And then the sex people the BDSM turned that into a toy. But anyway, so they make these stories bigger and bigger and bigger. And even the church, the so-called church fathers that they believe in starts making them even bigger and bigger. And the lives of the apostles get bigger. And people start believing the apostles did these things, and then they start saying that and these people start going down into Jerusalem, and they started performing miracles and crazy things happen. I mean, Helena went down there, the mother of Constantine, and she found the true cross, and she found where Jesus was crucified, and she found the tomb, and she found the birth spot. Helena found a lot of shit. And so now, she's a miracle happening. She's a saint. So now we got Saint Helena. And they start making saints out of all these people who have done miracles. Yet ain't nobody, they still making saints. They making saints out of people like Teresa, Pope John Paul. They making saints out of all these people. Ain't nobody seen no damn miracle. We have lived in a time frame where people could, for the last 100+ years, you could record shit. Ain't nobody recorded not one miracle ever happening, not one healing, not one exorcism, not one thing that proves any of the bullshit that they talking about. But these stories grow, and that's the whole story of Jesus. If he was an actual person, if there was an actual person that the story is based off of, it has been so grossly legendized that if you went back to first century and say, I'm looking for Jesus, he walked on water, and he healed the sickness out this little girl, the demon out this little girl after he called her mama a bitch. Yeah, and the one who cast out the legion and the pigs ran off, he negotiated with the demons and the pigs, they ran off. And he had a 2-piece fish sandwich from Popeyes, and he fed all the, my bad, from Long John Silver's, and he fed, I don't want to get Popeyes credit, Long John Silver, and he fed like 5,000 people with this 2-piece fish meal. And the Jesus that turned the water into wine, they would call you crazy. They would be like, we don't know you. What are you talking about? We ain't seen nobody do all that. I guarantee you, if you had a time machine and you was able to travel back to say 33 CE, that people gonna look at you and and be like, what the hell? Ooh, well, that person sounds amazing. They may think you're talking about, Apollonius of Tyranna. They might think you're talking about Dionysius. They might think you're talking about somebody else. But they're going to be like, there's a Yeshua? Who did all that? When? Where the grave at? Because if the thing about it, none of the grave sites that they have in Israel are actually could even possibly be the grave site. When you be like, yeah, it was right here. It'd be like, nah, that was the old Iron Age. That's the Iron Age grave site. Ain't anybody using that. It's not gonna happen. It's not. If you go back trying to find the birth of Jesus, they're gonna be like, it's not gonna happen. You be hanging around Bethlehem like, First, you don't even know when to go. Do you go in 6 BCE, 10 BCE, 4 BCE? When did Herod die? According to Matthew, you got to go during that time frame. But according to Luke, you got to wait till 6 CE during the census of Quirinius, because that's when he became governor. So you don't even know when to go. You got to actually go to Jerusalem, and I'm gonna say, to be safe, you got to show up around 12 BCE. Make sure Herod is alive, and then you got to hang around. And then, you got to hang around Jerusalem to see if the wise men show up and this star that's supposed to hover above the house. You got to hang out. And then when you don't see it during that time frame, you got to wait till 6 CE. Hopefully you'll survive during that time frame to be able to know. But guess what? You're probably not going to find out. You're probably not going to find out. You're going to be standing there and they're going to be talking about something. What? She pregnant by the Holy Ghost. She a hoe. She was messing with one of them Romans. I saw her over there with that Roman centurion rubbing all on his slashes. That little fast little Mary. That's who all that is. That little fast Mary. And that's why her parents giving her to that old man. Hopefully she'll calm down. Oh, man. We ain't got nobody want to. Let's see. Anybody asked to come on yet today? Let's see. You got anybody? Ooh, let's see some of these comments. Yeah. I ain't going all the way back and reading some of the older ones, but it's a lot. It's a lot. First century, they would have been looking at you a little sideways because they ain't never heard of your little Jesus character. Like I said earlier, Apollonius, they'd have been like, okay, you could be talking about him, could be talking about Dionysius. They believed in a lot of stuff, but their stuff was codified already, right? Their stuff was codified already. You talking to the Romans, they got their stories, the Greek stories. That would be an interesting thing to be able to travel back in time and hear all the other weird shit that they believe in. And then not only hearing the weird shit that they believe in, when you come up with some new shit, how they would relate that back to the old shit. But they still gonna think you crazy because you ain't gonna find nothing about no Jesus character. That's old man Joseph's son. Old man Joseph's son. That's all he is. Let's see who we got. Got Low coming up. Let's move the microphone for Low. Oh, it's cigar time. What up, Low?
I thought I'd get on since nobody was on here.
You all right? Hey, you know.
When you, I know you don't believe he was historical. You don't believe to any extent that he was historical. I know you say he could have been a person like that, but have you looked into the idea of him being a Essene and being the righteous teacher and basically of the Essenes? Have you ventured into that yet?
No, because I mean, there's just no proof that there is a historical Jesus. Most of these historians are just they skirting the issue because they want to say that based on what people believe, there probably was a preacher that the story is based off of, but that still doesn't make him historical, because I don't think that there's one person that the story is based off of. I think it's multiple people, especially when you read Josephus's writing. There are multiple Jesuses in his writings, and all of them share similarities with the biblical Jesus. So that's why I don't think that there was actually a one person that it is based off of. So as far as it being some Essene preacher, some teacher from the Essenes, nah, I don't think the Essenes are any more special than anybody else.
Well, when you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, you get a lot of they uncovered a lot of the writings of the Essenes. Mm-hmm. And when you there's a particular one, I just came across this one. It's called the Community Rule or something. And if you read that, it seems like you read that Community Rule. It appears to have a lot of like early Christian stuff in it, like a lot of you got the baptism, you got the communion offering, and they talk about a teacher of righteousness. And
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Okay, teacher of righteousness just as made up as anybody else. Yeah.
I haven't got rid of the idea that he was a real person. I believe he was. I believe I believe just the way some of the stuff that's written about him, it's hard for me to believe that's not a real person. You got the fantastic things like the miracles and things. Mm-hmm. And, some of those things, okay, yeah, you got a lot of contradictions with Matthew and Luke, and the resurrection accounts. Yeah, a lot of contradictions there, but I believe there was this guy teaching some things. You have another group of early Christians called the Nazarene. It was the Nazarenes or Nazarites.
You had Nazarenes, but
yeah.
Okay,
so I think it's a possibility that before he became this super, God in the form, that you had this guy teaching that was, teaching along the same lines as John the Baptist, who was, and kind of made kind of against that whole temple religion, and that would make sense more so to why they wanted him crucified.
Right. There's no proof John the Baptist existed.
Why? Josephus talking about John the Baptist too. You don't think?
Ain't no proof that John the Baptist existed.
I'm saying, but what would be sufficient proof for you, though? I don't know. That's what I don't see like there would be any different type of proof than what we have.
You got to give me something outside the Bible that is a contemporary of that time frame. So if you had a Roman record of Pilate or anybody else killing a dude named John, whatever the Hebrew name would be, because he was preaching and he was a wild man out there in the woods, in the wilderness. and he was baptizing people, then there you go. But you don't have any contemporary authorship of John the Baptist or claims of John the Baptist. Everything is after the fact. And so since it's after the fact, then it's not acceptable. Because I can make up a story right now.
After the fact, recorded, you know, it would have to be after the fact.
No.
Right?
No. Do you know that the majority of the information that we know about, let's see, the majority of information that we know about Vespasian are through documentations that was written about him while he was alive.
So who was Vespasian?
He was the emperor of Rome.
Okay,
there
you go. But look, an emperor, right?
Yeah, we got coins.
That's a high-level person.
High-level person, yes, that's true.
I'm talking about a preacher who's going to record a preacher in real time and write it down.
You got if the person is but here's the thing: if the person is going against the government and is creating issues within the government, then people are going to record that person. That the government itself, at least, is going to record what happened to that person or the existence of that person. And since he was somebody that was, if you look at him from that perspective, he was antagonizing the government for a while. It wasn't like he was a one-hit wonder, you know. The Jesus ministry was 3 years. John Baptist ministry was about just as long. So he's antagonizing the government for a while. He's building up a following for some years. So
I don't see him as antagonizing the government, though. He antagonizing religious leaders.
Yeah, that's the government.
That's a little different.
There's really no separation between the government and the religion back then.
You got Herod, right? Herod was the king, right? Herod or Agrippa, whichever one, or Archelaus, whatever one. They weren't the priests and all that stuff. Now there's a difference between.
There's a difference, but they work hand in hand. They were unified in thought and they worked with each other. It's not like how we got separation of church and state today. Well, the false idea of separation of church and state today. But
no, in that time there was a separation because those kings were actually like of Edomite blood. They were installed by.
Are you seriously?
Romans. So they were actual Jews.
Are you seriously?
They were actual Jews.
Are you seriously going there with that? You believe that Hebrew Israelite bullshit?
No, that's not Hebrew Israelite bullshit. I'm not Hebrew Israelite at all. They ridiculous.
What does Edomite mean to you?
Bloodline. They not purely Israelites. They are. They call them Idiom. What they call them? Idiom.
They Hellenistic Jews. They were Hellenized Jews.
No. It's another word.
I'm just saying. No, I don't know what word you're looking for, but what I'm saying is Herod was a Hellenized Jew. But he was a Jew. He was an Israelite. He
was not of Jewish blood.
Dude, what's your proof that he wasn't of Jewish blood?
I read up on it. They said he was an Edomite, which they come from. They basically derive from the kingdom of Edom. That's what I remember. I could be wrong now.
Hold on,
I could be wrong. They didn't see Herod as, they saw Herod as almost like an anti-Jew. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's sitting to be on the throne. That's why they want David. They want David back. That's why they're looking for the Messiah, because the person on the throne is not of Judean blood. That's why they're looking for the Messiah. They don't look at Herod as being their king.
Herod, okay. Herod's father was a descendant of an Edomite. His ancestors had been forcibly converted to Judaism. Herod was raised as a Jew. Okay, I'm gonna give you that one.
So I guess we kind of both right, but you know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, what does that matter?
Well, I'm just saying the point is that when it comes to recording history, I don't necessarily think there will be somebody that right in that time that will record history in the same way that we have for like emperors and things like that. It's a preacher. I mean, John the Baptist.
No, but
like I said, he is in Josephus. And Josephus, to me, it seems like Josephus and Tacitus are the only ones recording Jewish history in the first century.
No. Well, none of them are. I mean, Josephus did live in the first century and started writing in the latter half of the first century. Right. But Pliny the Younger was also a historian and a politician. So he wrote about the fact that people believed in this Jesus character, that there were such a group of people, of believers. So you do have that. The thing about the thing you were saying about Herod, even though his heritage may have been Edomite, he was raised as a Jew. So he still would have been a believer in the Jewish tradition and the Jewish religion. So he still would have been connected to the Jewish temple. And that was my point of it being an Edomite don't matter, because he was a Jew as far as his religious traditions are concerned. But
right. But they would have saw him as a kind of intruder, because he's not.
You're inferring how they would have saw him as the king who was supported by the Roman government. And they would have recognized his power and authority. So to say that they would have looked at him as an intruder and all that kind of stuff, no, Herod would have wanted to keep the status quo. All right.
Yeah, Herod.
So, but Herod wasn't alive. That Herod the Great, as they call him, wasn't alive during the time frame of John the Baptist and the Jesus character. You're talking Herod. It would have been Herod Archelaus. Herod Archelaus still would have wanted to keep the status quo between the Romans and the church. And anybody disrupting the Romans and the church, Herod Archelaus would have had a problem with it. Right? And that was during the birth time frame. But by the time Jesus is grown, there is no Herods. The Herod dynasty is gone. So now it's the church and Rome. So all this Herod stuff don't matter.
Jews and Rome, okay.
It's because at the time, this is church and Rome.
No, that's not true. What you mean? There's a Herod around when Jesus was being crucified and everything. If you go to Luke, and that's what's funny to me when you look at the gospel, it's almost like one gospel forgot to say something, so they had to come up with another story. Because somebody's saying, well, where Herod at? You know, look at Luke's gospel. He talks about Herod and Pilate at the time being they were at odds with one another. Then they came, but they were at the time they had came back and were cool with each other or something. And Jesus had to go in front of him. I think that's even in John's gospel too. So it's like they kept adding on to it, but there's a Herod around. There's a Herod around.
I do realize that the Bible does say that there is a Herod that is involved, and they go back and forth between the two. Huh.
And in the book of Acts, the last Herod, that's when the last Herod, the book of Acts, and Josephus even talk about it. Luke or whoever wrote the book of Acts, they give both of them show him dying, a horrible death, but it's both of them give a different rendition of how he dies. I think that's the last Herod, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going to do more research into this, but I think you have just exposed another lie in the Bible that I never thought about, never did the research, or if I've seen it, I didn't pay attention to it. Because according to what we know about the history of Judea of the Roman history of Judea at that time frame, once Herod Archelaus was disposed of, Rome then appointed governor. The governor, Pontius Pilate, ruled Judea alone, completely alone. Galilee, which was still a client state, was being ruled by Herod Antipas, but Judea had no such client ruler according to Roman history and Roman records, that it was purely ran by the governor, and at the time frame of Jesus would have been Pontius Pilate. So if the Bible is claiming that who does the Bible claim that Jesus was sent back to? Rome, Herod who?
I don't remember which Herod it was.
Let's do some discovery here.
But
let's do some.
Yeah, but it's like the rule of the Herods became like more so symbolic, almost. You know, even though the Queen of Britain does have, she does have power, but it became kind of symbolic more so than having actual.
No, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The Bible claims that there was a Herod, a descendant of the Herods in Judea, right? During the time frame.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Oh yeah.
But there wasn't. There was no Herod in Judea. There was Herod Antipas was in Galilee. Galilee was still a puppet regime as a client king, as he was a client kingdom, and Judea was completely ruled by Pilate, ruled by the Romans, and Pilate was the only person there. There is no Herod, nobody in Judea. So the Bible is, so what you're saying, the Bible is claiming that this God, they're claiming that Jesus went back and forth between Pilate and Herod Antipas.
I don't know if it was Herod Antipas. Let me see. I feel like I find it real quick. So I used to be an apologist myself. I used to do apologetics. I used to go to church that was really deep in that. But once you unsee some things, you can't unsee them. You can't unsee some things once you see it. So, let's see. No, okay. Here we go. It's saying that it's Herod of Galilee, the one that's over Galilee, because in Luke 23 verses 6, it says, when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at the time.
Oh, okay.
So it was Herod over Galilee.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Because we about to,
look at that though, right there. That shows Luke is being kind of really in line with history.
Okay. Spider-Man met President Obama.
I'm just saying, man. I think there's too much history in the book, especially Luke. There's too much history in Luke. Even though he might got some things wrong, for them to me that these characters just don't, especially John the Baptist and Jesus himself.
I mean, have you read?
The time Jesus into John the Baptist, to me, man, that's a big stretch to say John the Baptist didn't exist.
No,
that's a big stretch.
Does Professor Moriarty exist?
Professor Moriarty. What is that one?
Sherlock Holmes.
Who is it?
Sherlock Holmes' greatest enemy.
I don't know. I really don't know. Sherlock Holmes, didn't he try to? Sherlock Holmes is a fake character.
Yeah, and so is his greatest enemy, who is Professor Moriarty. And but if you read Sherlock Holmes, it has many historical accuracies as to who was the king, who was the queen, princesses, dukes, the city of London, the streets of London, the buildings of London. It has all these different names, the river, Thames, all these different historical things that are accurate and time appropriate. Does that mean that Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty and dear old Watson exist?
No, it doesn't mean, but it's being written as fiction. the person writing Luke is writing it as history. He's trying to say this is something that really happened. These are real people. He's sitting in real time. And can I ask you a question about so your view? What is your exact view of Josephus? Do you believe that Josephus was a real historian who really wrote the historic, but whatever, however you pronounce that writing?
I think Josephus.
Something in it, or the whole thing was.
Josephus wrote his histories based on his best abilities, but also as a ward of Rome. He wrote these histories. So they have a Roman slant to them, but they are as accurate of history as he was allowed to write.
So isn't John the Baptist mentioned in Josephus' writings?
I can't say yay or nay because I can't recall.
With them tying him into Jesus with John the Baptist, it's almost like
it's an easy search.
Figure them out by what is said about what's that.
Well, according to just a quick search, it does say that Josephus wrote about John the Baptist, describing him as a virtuous prophet who preached repentance, performed baptism, and eventually executed by Herod Antipas due to fear about his influence. Okay.
Yeah. So to me, I mean,
it says that he wrote about it. So what I would need is just, I need more than one reference. So I would have to find additional references to John the Baptist's existence. Like, is there any?
Well, who else would do it though? That's what I'm saying, Coach. It's like there's not that many historians about the Jews from that time period. You only got a few, and the few ones you got mention John the Baptist. Maybe he existed, man. Maybe that part is real. Maybe Jesus actually existed.
I mean, John the Baptist could have existed.
Things got added to it. I don't think they just added stuff to it that shouldn't be there.
I don't think
that's not necessarily.
Yeah, like you just said, they could have added shit to it, but I just need more information. Just because, I mean, Josephus writing about it, that's great. That lends a little bit more credibility to the fact that John the Baptist might be a real person. So okay, so I lean more to that side. But in order to push me over the cliff, I need some more information. I need something. I need a Roman record. There are plenty of other historians at that time frame. I need some of them. And I'm talking about historians in that area. Give me some of them. Did Philo write about him? Did Suetonius write about him? Did Dio write about him? There's some more people. I just need more people.
But for me, one of the biggest reasons why I think it's more likely that Jesus existed than he didn't, or even John the Baptist, both of them, is that I don't find within the first 700-800 years any refutation of his existence from the Jews themselves. They seem to more so have a way to reject him as a prophet. They didn't seem to reject his actual existence.
But they don't care.
Like,
care. Why would they care? Christians are the only ones that care about refuting someone else's religion while they are trying to build their religion.
Because they did, though. They did refute his prophethood.
No. You're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. Christianity is the only religion that goes about trying to disprove other people's religion. Every other religion only cares about themselves and don't really go out trying to destroy somebody else's religion or counter somebody else's religion. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
so the Jews wouldn't care about these people called Christians and what they're saying and trying to disprove it.
Because the first Jews were Christians,
but they
were a offshoot of Judaism. So just like the Jews talk about the Samaritans, they talk bad about them. They talk bad about the Christians because those are people that they see as kind of.
Who's talking bad about these people? These other people? The first Christians.
The Jews, like the rabbis and these different schools and things, the Pharisees and all this stuff. They had a viewpoint of the Samaritans, which were basically just the people that were the same lineage as them, who just saw things differently.
Okay, they had a viewpoint, but they weren't going out of their way to try to disprove the religion, is what I'm saying. So the Jews from first century on, the Jewish community just said, "No, that joke is he's not our Messiah," and then they moved on. And that for them, that's it. He ain't our Messiah. That's a fake religion. We don't give a shit. But as far as them consistently pursuing scholarship or whatever to disregard and take away Jesus, they wouldn't care about that.
Well, I'm saying that, but they didn't say, we don't know what you're talking about. This dude didn't exist. They had a reason to reject him as if he was a real person that really preached a false message.
Okay.
So that, to me, in that sense, that more so showed that he was a real person. Like, what if he wasn't a real person at the time? Somebody would say, "Man, what the hell is y'all talking about? We never even heard of this guy."
Do you understand? Okay, but you have to understand. Nobody wrote about Jesus until 50, 60 years later. So anybody who was alive at that time frame would have been a child. Everybody else pretty much was dead, who would say, "No, that shit never happened." So now you're fighting a story. So you have to fight. So at that point in the 70s and 80s CE, you have to fight the story, not the actual person, because they didn't have the technology we have today to be able to prove if somebody was alive or somebody lived and all this sort of thing. So it's a wholly different argument at that in first century than it is in today's time frame. And then it's whatever. And then the only people who are going to care are the people who are at the top. And the people at the top see Christianity as this fledgling little offshoot of Judaism. They don't give a shit about Christianity. The Jews are focused on their relationship with Rome and how they can maintain the peace or waiting for a Messiah. So they wouldn't even have given a shit about this little Christian religion, and until like maybe 200 years later when it had grown. But now it's grown more in the Roman society than it has been in their society. So that is about the only time they would have cared at that point. It's just like today, there are Christian cults that are running around that nobody cares about.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're insignificant. See, people think that Christianity had these significant.
I haven't got rid of Jesus as a real person yet. I haven't got rid of that. I think it's very likely that this person existed and because of the things that are written that are written to try to answer. It seems like they're written to try to answer criticism. It's like, okay, there's no good. Is any good thing come out of Nazareth or Galilee? So it's like, okay, you got this prophet who's from Nazareth. So hold up, the Messiah is supposed to be from Bethlehem. So they come up with a story to put his birth in Bethlehem, because in the negative, the people who are against him are saying, well, he's not the Messiah because he's from Nazareth.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they make up more stories.
So I'm thinking it's more so that he was a prophet from Nazareth, and who had these things about him, people that they was throwing around, oh, he was born, his mother, that's not even his father. His father's not really even his real father. But now you got a virgin birth. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I get what you're saying. That's why I said if he was a historical person, then he's a legend. It's a story that's been legendized. And I understand some people still hold on to his historical person. Bart Ehrman, who is one of the foremost theologians right now, he thinks that there was an itinerant preacher named Yeshua who was going around teaching, and then he got legendized. So he thinks that he's a historical person. I disagree with him. You know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, but Bart Ehrman said this," so they're just going to follow along what Bart Ehrman said. I don't give a shit what he said on that account. I don't think it was an actual person named Yeshua. I think he's a compilation of multiple itinerant preachers that Josephus wrote about and then got created into this being. But I don't think there was one particular person.
I don't remember reading about no other Jesus though. You saying there's more? Is it in the same? Is it that same volume, or because I know there's several writings of Josephus?
Yeah, but it's
the same.
It's an easy go. It's an easy search. Just ask the question. I don't know. List the different Yeshuas that Josephus talked about, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a list of them.
Okay,
but
I'm gonna take some time.
We don't beat this dead horse, man.
I read through it myself. I used to be really into apologetics, and I read through Josephus, and at the time it was something that increased my faith. Even though like I said, you got that part that seems to be I don't know how to say the word, man. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting old, I guess. Yeah. Interpolation? Is that how you say it?
What, the interpolation? Yeah, which is just a fancy word for forgery.
Yeah.
Fancy word for forgery. That's all it is, a forgery.
But this part of it was original to the writing, but the other part was added.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, okay. And then to see how the Jews, even the history, how he gave the history, and then you see things that you never even knew about Moses and what he supposedly did. And he was like a warrior and all this stuff, a general and all this. It's all type of stuff. And then you also see that at that time, the Jews did not see the 6-day creation as literal.
What?
That's in Josephus' way.
Yeah, I mean, the people's perspective changes throughout history. So, just like ours. We don't think the same way. Christianity is not the same as it was 50 years ago. So, it all changes.
Yeah.
But let me let some other people get up here, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, appreciate you, love.
I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, me too. All right. Bishop Nubs. Be nice. Play nice. Bishop Nubs. Is your mic on?
Can we? Yeah, no. I will play nice. I like to play nice. And nice would be to give truth, right? That is the kind of thing that I could do. Mm-hmm. Could we please look up on the screen when Josephus Flavius, mind you, Flavius is his adopted Roman name. Can we look up when he was born and when he was, when he died? Same thing with Pliny and Tacitus.
Okay, let me see.
I want to do this so we can all hear truth.
Hold on, you want me to put it on the screen? But I don't know if you're going to be able to see it clearly.
I don't care if you do. If you want to just read it off, I don't care, as long as the audience has comprehension of it.
How well can you see that?
I can't see that for shit. Just name the date.
Can you see it now?
That's fucking tiny.
It says Flavius Josephus.
37. Wait. 37. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, 37. Jesus was allegedly how old, and when was he born? Wasn't he born 1 CE? Wasn't that the alleged time?
According to the Gregorian calendar, yes.
Okay, so following the calendar that the Christians follow, let's do some simple math. Is 33 less than 37? Put a 1 in the chat if 33 is less than 37.
Mm-hmm.
And according to, I mean, I'm just going to follow some biblical standards because obviously if we're talking to Christians, we need to play by their rules. So in Deuteronomy 19 and 15 and also 2 Corinthians 13 and 1, both reiterate the concept of having 2 or 3 first-hand account testimonies that are verified by the community for their integrity. Now, if we look at the integrity of Flavius Josephus, we will see that he was adopted by the Romans.
Mm-hmm. It says right there, he died in Rome.
And in fact, not just adopted by them, but actually spent time with the Caesars themselves.
Mm-hmm. He was the scribe for Vespasian and Titus.
Okay. Now, if we can look at Titus's ministry, and I say ministry because ministry is a service to the people of the Galilean areas, is there an account where he is quoted to say, "Come, I will make you fishers of men"?
Let's see. I think I know how to ask that question to get that answer.
I mean, we're just breaking down history to find our 2 or 3 witnesses, right? And we can't clearly, because everybody knows that 33 is less than 37. Everybody knows that, in fact, it would have been till he was an older man that he wrote those documentations. So even his non-firsthand account testimony, well, that would be hearsay, conjecture, or complete bullshit in any Roman court, which is the Christian court.
Actually, I'm getting a no on that.
No, really?
Yeah,
interesting.
No.
I'll have to do some more research so I can bring that up to you. Because I do know that he was attributed to somebody touching the hem of his garment. A couple of the Jesus ministries. Yeah, that was. So let's back up. Hellenization. What is that? Would that not be the influence of Hermetics?
I know I spelled that wrong. What? I'm not listening. Say that again.
Okay. When you say the Hellenization of the Jewish people, would that not be the introduction to Hermetics and or Hermes Trismegistus?
I told you I wasn't listening. I'm typing.
Oh, okay. Well,
how you spell Galilee? Why am I not being able to spell
fuck
Galilee?
if I know. You're trying to answer that question the right way, so it gives the correct answer. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask it in such a way where it understands the question that I'm asking, and I can. And for some reason, my brain is like straight farting on how to spell Galilee.
What about famous quotes from Tiberius's conquering of Galilee?
I was hoping that somebody wrote it in the comments how to spell this damn word. Why is my brain not able to spell Galilee right now? I can literally.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. When that God decided that I wasn't worth life, and he killed me and then brought me back to life and then killed me again and then brought me back to life and then killed me again. While that whole situation was happening, there was a little bit of damage, and spelling has never really quite fully come to, don't get me wrong, I could definitely work on it. I work in construction and landscaping. It's not my forte. I choose to be willingly ignorant in spelling alone.
Well, I was pretty good until spell check came out. Okay, so it wouldn't.
I use a lot of voice to text.
If it was written, it would not have been in the Annals of Titus. It would have been in Josephus's War of the Jews.
Right. Which would be the Maccabean Wars, right?
Nope.
No,
that's
not the same.
That's part of it. Yes, part of it is that.
Okay. And that's where the S comes in, Maccabean Wars. It's all attributed, but not quite accurate to be attributed. I guess I look at it this way. If I were conquering a people group, I would find the most influential people in that group, the families that had importance, like the Herods. Mm-hmm. And I would have a conversation, and basically, if I was Rome, I would be like, all right, this is how this is going to go. I would not ask for their permission. I am Rome. I have literally legions. Mind you that my people had stolen their beautiful eagle and the Jews didn't. Anyways, so just to say that we are much more badass in war than any Jew could ever claim. So basically you have a situation where you have Josephus, who was literally adopted by Rome, making a claim for the crown, because if you look at the government situation at that time, the best way they could interrupt any religious sect is to make a claim for the throne. And if you know a damn thing about how that worked, you had to be of certain lineages to be able to rule over certain territories. It was law accepted across the boards. That's why these puppet governments came into play. Okay, I can't rule your land directly, but I can definitely tell you how the fuck to do it and make sure you do. Hence all of these little puppet governments. It's still the same way. Nothing has changed. Humanity has not changed since the society of the Romans, in my opinion. I will say technology has advanced, but humans themselves, we all have the base emotions, love and fear. That doesn't change. And they put into us the fight or flight and all of those things. Just because we aren't running from fucking cheetahs and lions, now we don't have a reason for fight or flight, so it's within us. And so now we need to create a reason to fight or flight. So we create for ourselves gods to explain the unexplainable.
I agree with that. Let me clarify something real quick, though. This is going back to what we were saying earlier, because as I've always said, if I make a mistake, if I've been saying something that's incorrect, but I find out something is different, then I will correct it. So apparently the specific sayings of Titus claiming to his Roman soldiers, ordering them to throw spears at the men coming out of the sea and making them fishers of men, is something that came out of Caesar's Messiah, and is not actually part of Josephus' War of the Jews nor the Annals of Titus. What Josephus' War of the Jews and the Annals of Titus do talk about is that there was a battle and this at Galilee, and part of it was on the water. And when the Galilean boats were destroyed, as the men came to land, they either killed them or captured them. But there was no specific statement of him claiming his men to be fishers of men. It was more of an actual thing that was done.
Thank you for that correction. You see that, Christians? That's integrity. I appreciate you correcting my wrong thinking, because integrity is more important.
And I used to think the same way. So the specific thing is not said, but more of an action is described.
So actions over words in this case, but nevertheless, it was not actually said. So I will concede to a historical record because there's evidence there.
Yeah.
And whether it happened or not, I personally was not there. Right. So I can't give.
We know the battle at Galilee between Roman forces of Titus and Vespasian did occur.
Yes.
We know that battle occurred. We know Josephus became a prisoner and then becomes the scribe, tells Vespasian that he's going to become emperor and that the Jewish literature says that he is. And Vespasian used that literature in order to use that as part of the literature to make him a god, which then makes Titus a son of God. Because that's that was for the imperial court. That wasn't for like Christianity. And so, and we know the fall of Jerusalem that comes later. We know Vespasian goes off to Egypt and then goes to Rome. So we know those things happened. Got plenty of records of those things. What we don't have any records of is Jesus. Outside of the Bible, we have during the contemporary time of Jesus.
Yeah.
So writing for for Titus and writing for Vespasian is him contemporarily writing as he is with them. There's no writings of Jesus while someone is with Jesus or even living in the area.
You know, if you do a little bit of research on Josephus, you'll see that throughout history, he ran many narratives under many different pseudonyms. And actually, the writings of Paul are, in some groups of people, seen as a pseudonym for Josephus, at least some of them.
I think so.
I personally think so.
Him and Philo. I'm putting it between him and Philo.
And the thing about it is Philo is interestingly completely silent. And out of all of the men, Philo is the only one that would have been contemporary. And if Jesus actually, I've made this claim or this understanding before, and it is partially a claim to a certain degree. If Philo was in Alexandria, the largest population of Jewish people in all of Egypt was in the powerhouse of Alexandria. In fact, it had more influence at the time than Judea or any of the places up there. And that's, I mean, you look at history. Now, you had said something, the word, it was with the other gentleman. He had said something, the word made flesh or something along those lines. It was a direct quote out of Philo's writings. It's what he calls the spirit that you guys call the Spirit of God or Jesus. Like, read Philo, and all of this crap kind of makes a lot of sense. And it's the Hellenization of the Jewish people, which Hellenization is literally the introduction of hermetics and the Trinity. That's where all of that crap comes from.
This is true. And I just did a little quick search just so people can see it, since you want to do that today.
Absolutely.
And what you will see there is that, where is it? So I can read it actually. And I'm gonna read it for the people on TikTok because I know TikTok people can't read it. I asked the question, did Philo of Alexandria mention Jesus? No. Philo of Alexandria, who lived between 20 BCE and 50 CE, did not mention Jesus, Christian, or Christianity in his extensive writings, which is notable because he lived during the time frame of Jesus, and wrote about Jewish affairs and figures like Pontius Pilate, making his silence significant for historians and theologians. While some theories suggest early Christians adopted concepts like the logos from Philo's philosophy, Philo himself never connected the ideas of historical Jesus despite living through the events described in the Bible, well, in the Gospels. So basically, in a nutshell, Philo is someone who lived during the time frame of Jesus, yet he never mentions Jesus, never mentions Christians. And like Bishop Nubbs was saying, he's not only living during the time frame, he's living in the second largest concentration of Jews in the Roman Empire, which would have been Alexandria, Egypt. And not only is he living there, he is an incredibly powerful and important person who was living there. And during that time frame, talks about Pontius Pilate, but never mentions Jesus or the Christian movement. And he dies around no later than 50 CE. And it's interesting that you have no writings about Christianity until after he dies. Every writing about Christianity is after Philo is dead.
You mean in order to start this movement, you have to get rid of Philo? Because he negates every fucking aspect of the entire fucking thing? No way.
Yeah. This is why I lean more towards Josephus being the primary writer of what becomes your Gospels, what becomes your letters of Paul, right? Because at least your letters of Paul, because you have Philo and Josephus, all of this is done after Philo is dead. Yep. So he's the most prominent Jew in the Roman Empire, but he has to be gone before these writings come out. That's a little suspect. That's a little suspect.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, sir.
It got OJ free.
And another great quote from that time era is old blowjob Bill.
I did not. Which one? I didn't inhale.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Well,
I've actually used that one in my life.
I have to. It wasn't true, but I have to.
I did not have sex with that woman. I just took a picture of her smoking a cigar for marketing purposes.
And also another one that, it really reminds me of the Christian perspective, is the reason he got off of that. The whole reason, not got off on that, but from that, is he argued the word is, because there's pages of definitions of the word is.
Okay, explain. Because I'm
legally. The legal term for is has pages of definitions.
What the hell are you talking about?
Bill Clinton was a great fucking lawyer.
What word?
And
the word is.
Yes, because in the
the word is for another word.
I'm almost positive it's the word is.
Okay.
I mean, fact check me for real, because if I'm up here looking stupid, I'm okay with that. It's happened before.
What is this in reference to? You mean
his impeachment? He basically, from my recollection of it, what he did is he based it off of the legal definition of the word is. And because it has multiple definitions legally, he was saying, okay, well, which one is?
Oh, Lo over here is saying that, yeah, it is the word is. I don't remember his impeachment because I couldn't stand that bastard.
Well, neither do I, but I've read about it afterwards. I pulled a Josephus.
Yeah. Yeah, he pissed me off. He made more of my Marines on people. More of my Marines had to get on food stamps during his damn presidency, so I couldn't stand him.
Yep.
You know how hard it is to get Marines combat ready when they are concerned about being able to feed their families. So fuck Bill Clinton.
Any combat ready, period. When you have concerns of your family, you are not combat ready. I don't care who the fuck you are. You could have all the goddamn training in the world, but family, oh shit, your kid gets hurt and you're in battle. There's a reason those guys don't call home.
Yeah, but it's even worse. I mean, the kid getting hurt, that's a bad thing. But when you leave out and you know that your family may not have your family struggling to eat.
Right.
Your pay is so damn low. And this fucker just wanted to give us a 0.9% pay raise, but Congress forced him to give us a 1.9% pay raise, and inflation went up like 4-5%. So,
dude, I remember that very well.
And now I got to sit all my Marines down and help them fill out their paperwork to get food stamps before we go deploy. Yeah. I know I'm going off on a tangent because that shit still makes me mad today.
That's the same fucking bullshit though.
Yeah.
It changes little, because one thing we're talking about Jesus, but we're also talking about the very people that go in his name. And if we're going to judge anything, how can we judge Christianity based off of anything but the followers of Christ?
Exactly. And that's it. Thank you for making the connection. People who follow politicians are just like the people who follow these religions.
100%.
Their activity, and actually on my regular page, I'm gonna do a video today about politicians. This is on my regular personal page because I got to clear some space of some people. But you're absolutely right. The actions of the people in the religion is what solidifies the religion. It gives the definition of the religion.
Yep.
And this created being of fiction has been utilized to destroy more lives than anything else in history.
Not just one way either. Not just one way. In every capacity, in mind, in body, in if soul exists, in soul, because they claim to have damnation over your soul. Look at the American court system. It's the same thing. That's a whole different tangent. But the same fucking rules apply. Why? Because they're fucking psychotic. Yeah. And the rules themselves, I, Jehovah, have created both good and evil for my glory. So not only is he moving the goalpost, he's literally putting it on his back and running around with the fucking thing and saying, "Gotcha, bitch."
Exactly.
And he literally brags about it. He bragged about the shitty food that turned into maggots. He said, "Yeah, I got you, bitch. Yeah, I took you out of slavery. You want to fucking complain? I'll give you a fucking reason to complain."
Yeah. You want to complain
That's
about that?
Right.
I'll give you. We did the calculations when I was going through the, when we was going through each verse of the Bible, and we did the calculation, and I think when they got mad because when they was questioning like, all we getting is manna, and he brought them, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you some quail then, you crying asses," and I think it comes out to like 1.4 or 2.4 trillion quail. And it's like these people would have had to consume all this quail, or all these quails are lying around becoming bacteria, diseased up, fungus, all kind of nasty shit. Yeah. Right? So it's like, oh, if you complain about anything, then I'm a punish you. I'm gonna make it look like I'm giving to you, but I'm actually going to use that as a punishment for you.
How about Lot's wife? How about Lot's wife? Her natural reaction, which this God instilled into her, was you hear an explosion. Okay, you're a Marine. You've heard fucking explosions. Do you not have a natural response to look at what the fuck is blowing up behind you?
Yeah.
Do you have to fight it in combat? because nothing hits you and move forward.
You have to. The natural reaction of anybody is going to be to look. You have to be a highly trained like sniper to not move when something happens.
Bingo.
Beyond that, you look. Oh, GTS, you can get the fuck off my page saying fuck the Marines. Oh hell no. How do I delete and ban this motherfucker? And you can talk a lot of shit, but fuck you. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
See, I'm not supporting.
He's off my page, but if that fucker is an American, your right to say shit is my right to delete your shit. But it's people like me and my fellow Marines that gave you the right and keep your right to say shit.
Bingo.
You don't say
I mean, I don't agree with all of what government does with the Marines, and I don't agree with the Marines, but I do clearly see that a bad man with a gun is only stopped with a good man.
Wait. Say that again.
Politicians' orders. Let me make that clear.
Okay. Because we
let me make that clear, because I saw where you were going with it. And no, I'm not blaming I'm blaming the people that follow the politicians.
Yeah, now like me personally, I have disobeyed some orders quite a few times. If it's not a legal order, fuck that. And I was supported by my Marines in disobeying that order.
And see, I support you as a man. I know that you are a man of integrity. And if you say, yeah, these are my guys, I know that at any point in time, if there was a firefight, I want to be in the middle of you guys, not anywhere else.
Exactly.
So like if I'm forced to be in a firefight, I want you to my back instead of, that motherfucker.
Yeah. So he gone. He's gone. He ain't gonna say fuck my Marines. I would have done the same if he said the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. Well, fuckers, we keep your fucking Constitution valid.
I will give you a little bit, if you would like, a small excerpt from my life, because I had engagements with the Marine Corps. Yeah, I never got married.
Yeah, go ahead, and then after that, I need to let Miss Fifi get on here.
Absolutely. So 9/11 happened, and I actually grew up in Western Pennsylvania and heard the explosions personally. I know a little bit more about that story than the average bear. I'll put it that way. Anyways, that was right about, that was the day of my senior pictures, but I was already involved in the delayed entry program for the United States Marine Corps. I was it was called the DEP program.
Yeah, I know.
And I was excelling in my training. I pissed off a lot of recruiter or people that were volunteering their time to train us because I was a cocky bitch. And cocky bitches in the Marines are not. We excel, but only so far.
That only benefits you once you pass boot camp and your initial training, and then whatever your skill set training.
And this is weekend boot camp where I'm supposed to be acknowledging, but I was physically fit enough and I knew enough that, like, for instance, the things that I excelled in was shooting. I was extremely good at shooting. And another thing that I was very, very good at is the rappelling. I had been climbing before. So when asked, does anybody know how to get this knot? I raised my hand.
Shit's terrifying.
So this fucking gutty, his arms were bigger than my fucking body. Like, dude was just fucking massive. He walks over, and I tied it real fucking quick because I realized what was going to happen. This son of a bitch curls me. Says, I guess that'll do. Well, I didn't take that lightly. So my response was, I got up that wall real fucking quick. It was stairs to get up because we were learning rappelling, not climbing. So 50-foot wall. And I'm at the top of this wall. And when you guys are real Marines, you'll be able to jump out and check, blah, blah. It just gave the whole fucking speech. So I'm like, all right, you son of a fucking bitch. You want to curl me? I'll show your bitch ass. belay on, let's do this. And I just fucking jumped and I let go of my fucking cord and I'm just free falling. About 45 feet, I'm fucking clipping off. I tapped the wall, dropped the rest of the line, tapped the ground, and ran it out.
Outstanding.
The entire people are just like, oh, I've done it a million fucking times. I know what the fuck I'm doing.
No.
Just like you Christians. I grew up in your bullshit, and let me make this a fucking warning to you. You want to come at me, you better come at me with some actual fucking firsthand account testimony, or fuck you by your own Bible standards. And with that, I bid you adieu, sir. Could you do me a favor and drop your link or your stuff? I know you did it yesterday, but I did not catch it. I'm going to drop out, and can you put it in the YouTube chat so I can grab your email?
Sure.
I'm fucking retarded. My apologies. Let me drop out so I can actually get it on a screenshot. Thank you much. Much love. Have a good day, brothers and sisters.
Have a good one. Let me let him drop before I post it so that he can see it. No, just so stupid. It's funny. I was just telling my wife about that first time that I had to repel. Whew. The repelling part wasn't the scariest part. Repelling is not the scariest part. My microphone is a little loose. The scariest part is when you first got to lean over that damn wall. Leaning over that wall is terrifying. And getting yourself in position. What the hell? I didn't mean to do that. Why is my screen acting weird? What did I hit? I hit something. Well, I'll figure that out while Miss Fifi is on here. I don't want to slow the show down because I pressed the button of some sort.
How you doing?
Hey, Miss Fifi, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I listened to the last guest to a point, but when you use 3 cuss words and a run-on sentence, I can't listen to you because it's just too many cuss words for me. It does something to my stomach. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I see that the topic of these, but he had a lot of good information in the beginning. It's just that,
I understand. Everybody has.
I'm not talking about your guests in a negative way. I'm just saying I couldn't listen. No, anyway, the topic at hand is the historical Jesus.
Yeah, it's a historical. Yeah, historical Jesus is fiction. Let me make it bigger for you. Is fictional or legend at best.
Legend at best. Before deconstruction became something that Black folks did, what they did was they changed the image again. We talked about identifying how people identify with their God. So I think it was the late 1990s when they started making this Black Jesus. So people say, "Oh, I'll stick with the church since it's a Black Jesus."
Yeah.
And then they say, "No."
I do remember that. I remember when people start coming out with the Black Jesuses and changing up the white Jesus. And actually, we saw a growth in one of the churches that I belonged to at that time frame. We actually saw a growth in our membership when we start promoting a Black Jesus.
Because people could identify, I guess, with their Savior.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, like especially for us what are we, Gen Xers, when we started picking up from the Black Power movements in our music, and like the rap music was very big with Black empowerment and so on and so forth. To have a white Jesus was like off-putting. And then that's when ISIS Papers was big as far as a read, and Malcolm X was big as far as a read. So because we started identifying more about being Black, the churches made that. Some churches made that switch, and the churches that made that switch actually grew.
Mm-hmm.
Because Black people said, "Oh, okay, now I can go to this church because they got a Black Jesus." And you also had the Nwampu movement at that time frame with Nwampu. Right, it's either called Nwampu or you can call it right knowledge. It was Malachi York. You remember him?
No.
Oh, he built a compound down in South Georgia, and it was supposed to be what he was doing was making all the characters of the Bible Black. He was incorporating a little bit of it was like he was Afrocentrizing Christianity and Islam melded together. Well, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism kind of melded together, but every character was Black. And so it was like telling the same story, but telling it in a way that empowered Black people as the original people, as the children of God, and so on and so forth. And everything was going great until he started messing with them little kids. I actually went down to his compound in the 90s.
And Christianity gets me, but that's another discussion for another day because it's just so much. But sticking with, is he a legend?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a legend at this point. Because even though the Bible is supposed to be about, well, the New Testament is supposed to be about Jesus. Jesus never wrote anything. So we really don't know what or who he is. Just what,
Exactly. And the funny thing about it is that other people who were considered to be Messiah types back in the day, like Apollonius of Tirana, he actually wrote stuff. Apollonius wrote things. The Jesus character is one of the few Messiah types who never wrote anything themselves. Which then makes you wonder, if the Jesus character didn't write anything, then did he even exist? Because most people back then had to have they wrote stuff about whatever they were teaching,
Right.
Look at all the church fathers. They all wrote, but Jesus didn't write. None of the apostles actually wrote. Every book that is attributed to an apostle wasn't even attributed to that apostle by name until around 180 with Irenaeus. So this character, and with the fact that Philo never wrote about him, Philo at least would have wrote about his heresy towards Judaism if he existed.
Okay, because he was against all the rules.
Well, he was against Christianity. He would have been against any other type of Judaism other than the type of Judaism that was flourishing in Alexandria and throughout Judea at that time frame.
Wow.
So it's kind of like we know about Marcionism, not because we have the writings of Marcion, even though we know he did write, but because of the heretical of people claiming him to be a heretic and what they wrote about him. But a contemporary of Jesus never wrote, a contemporary Jew of Jesus never wrote even negative things about this Jesus. The first people who wrote negative things about this Jesus doesn't happen until you get to Tacitus, which is he's writing around 100, 116. So he's writing like 70 years later, 70, 80 years later of talking about how disgusting these worshipers are. And I'm not convinced he's talking about the Jesus of the Bible, because he named their leader by name as Christus and not Yeshua.
Well, all that is just so controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna send us down one journey after another journey after another journey, trying to find perfection, trying to be saved, just distraction after distraction. These teachers, after the supposedly Jesus time, sent us, and I don't know exactly what was supposed to happen during that time, but I know there was a change going on at that time, but it still didn't have nothing to do with my ancestors in Africa. And so that's what I'm most concerned about, because we're talking about a minute period of time during human relations with the earth. We're talking about just a drop, and it has gone all over the world. I mean, some people take it, some people don't, but all over the world, doing all kind of things to all kind of people over the centuries. And I don't know if we're going to ever get it straight, or is it going to get worse?
Actually, I think it's getting better.
Okay.
When you look at the whole history leading up until today, and look at women's rights, look at people who are free, the ending of slavery, child protection laws, we have progressed more morally than any other time frame in our history, in human recorded history. As far as from a world perspective, of course, there are always places and people who are doing some jacked up things even to this day. But as a world community, life for the average person is freer and more plentiful than it's ever been. And I think we're gonna continue to get better, because you're a black woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to live as a black woman in the 1920s?
No, I don't know what that would even look like for me.
Right. And even if you go back into pre-colonization of Africa and you study some of these African tribes, women still didn't have in most tribes, women still didn't have equal rights to men.
Right.
So even in those pre-colonial African tribes, I still wouldn't want to be a black woman, living under the rule of Zulus or Ashanti or the Dahomey or anybody else, because your life wasn't better than it is now. You were still pretty much property. And they still participated in forms of slavery.
That is true.
So I think the world consciously has gotten better.
I think so too. I think about my grandmother. She died a year ago on the 8th. And, I think about the things that she had gone through as a young girl, as a teenager and all of that. And then, growing older and seeing just so much. How that would have been, I mean, maybe, she survived it, but she got married when she was 14 to my grandfather. And I don't think that she had any choices. I don't think women had a lot of choices.
They did. My
So
my
I
grandmother
think they
did.
did the best they could with what they had, and yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. We have progressed. Thank God for that. We progressed here in America. Places all in the world that's still lagging on, but I can say for the U.S., people have choices.
Right, people have choices, and even though I know you still believe in a form of God, I can never say thank God for that. I thank humanity. I have to be thankful for the fact that humanity, through growth of knowledge in the sciences, come to change their morality. And as long as and that's the thing that I don't think people realize. As science improves, morality has improved alongside of it. When science doesn't improve, morality diminishes. So, like during the European Dark Ages, because they don't the ones that had the Dark Ages, during European Dark Ages, their science was shut down, and so the morality took a downward turn because their science was shut down, and it was shut down because of the church. So, as we've improved in medicine, in mechanical engineering, and every other form of science, our morality has improved in accordance with that. And we're still improving. We will improve faster now than we have ever improved before. And especially with freedom of movement. If you think about freedom of movement, you don't have to live in America no more. It's easier to move to another country where whatever your situation is, black, white, male, female, there are other countries where you're treated better than the one that you're in, and people are taking advantage of that. So like a lot of black men and women are leaving America because they can get treated somewhere else better. Sorry, my phone rang. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people can be better off in other countries. My husband is from Ghana, and that was one of the places we thought about retiring. At least be there most of the time because of the fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. I mean, things are more organic there.
Yeah.
And, I think it'd be better for us to age under the palm trees, even though I live in Florida.
Ooh, not Florida.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's the true thing. Like two business owners that I know, and they were two men, they're gay. And when they kept saying, if Trump wins, we're moving. If Trump wins, we're moving. I thought they were just talking trash, but he won. And about 3-4 months after his inauguration, they moved to the Azores. They sold their business, sold their houses, and moved to the Azores. Because for them, they were like, nah, what America is doing and with this MAGA mentality of Christianity, they were like, we're getting the hell out of here.
It is kind of weird how they use the Bible and nationalism, the way they express their beliefs. Yeah. I think that's the scary part of it. You express it in a way that's not what we would call loving. So maybe it's not the loving part of God that we are seeing with MAGA. Maybe it's that chaotic God.
Yeah.
And I know
the way they
and I use God loosely. I say the Creator, but I use God loosely. So.
Right. I understand. I mean, you explained it before. I understand what you mean when you say God. That's why said, I know you think of God differently from the biblical version of God. So I'm with you on that one. I understand what your meaning is, but I just, the way they utilize, and that's the thing, most Christians don't really understand the Second Amendment. I mean, the Second Commandment.
Okay.
And the Second Commandment is not, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. Most people think that means that you shouldn't say stuff like, God damn it. That cursing and utilizing this guy's name is taking this guy's name in vain. In actuality, what it means is taking the God name in vain is when you do bad things in the name of this God. So when you go and genocide some people in the name of this God, when you oppress people in the name of this God, that actually is a violation of the second commandment. So when these people who are claiming to be Christian, but they are creating physical tension between groups of people simply based on their color or their gender or anything of that nature, that is taking this God's name in vain. So I'm gonna do the video I'm gonna do on my regular channel, my personal channels today, personal Facebook channel, and I'll probably share it to these channels, is the fact that I was cool having people who are Republican and still being on my pages, but and they were Christian Republicans on my personal page, but now there's multiple things I can point at where I have disagreements with our current government, and we can disagree and still be cool with each other. But when this person goes to the point of saying that he's going to change, he's trying to get rid of Juneteenth and trying to get rid of MLK. And the first volley that he's throwing down right now, the volley he's throwing down right now is that no longer will the national parks be free on Juneteenth or MLK Day, which are federal holidays. The parks are usually free during federal holidays. And he's trying to make it free on Flag Day, which happens to be his birthday. The fact that he picked Juneteenth and MLK Day just shows what in biblical times would have been ethnocentrism, but just shows racism. And the fact that you still would support this man and call yourself Christian is a violation of the Christian doctrine of the day. It is not a violation of the Bible, because the Bible supports ethnocentrism, which we call racism, but it's a violation of what Christians claim they stand for today. And so how can you still support that? And if a person supporting division in this country, you can't be my friend, even the bullshit friendship of Facebook. I mean, because Facebook is not friendship, but you can't be. I don't want to see you. I don't want to deal with you because you are supporting tension and separation of people and false narratives by doing that.
It don't even have to be like that.
Why would you? I mean, he could have easily just said, he could have just tried to make his birthday a freaking national holiday and build. Nobody cares about Flag Day. I mean, Flag Day I don't even think that's a federal holiday, right? I'm not sure if it is or it isn't. But
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I've never heard anybody say, "Ooh, I'm off today because of Flag Day," or the bank's being closed because of Flag Day. So I don't think it's a national holiday. Make that a holiday. But you're trying to take away the two holidays that Black people have out of the overwhelming majority of holidays that are created by and for white people. If that's in your face racism. But it's supported by the Bible.
But I think some people just don't get it, They just don't get it.
And that's the thing. The Bible says that you can have racism, but the doctrine of Christianity today, for most people, goes against racism. And there's a difference between the doctrine and what the Bible says. And so that shows that our morality, and even the morality of Christians, is greater than the Bible's morality. So I can't deal with anybody who's going to support that. They need to get the hell on. I don't even want to see their face. I don't want to see not even a one comment that I might even like. I don't even want to see the comments I like from them fuckers. But that's the problem with this Bible. And that's the problem with these Christians, is that they are so easily swayed by the doctrines, and they can easily change with the doctrines because they find their own Bible to be immoral. Yeah, and I try not to make this channel political, but when I saw that last night, that just pissed me off.
Oh, you're talking about that speech?
Well, I saw the news on him I saw the news on him making MLK and Juneteenth, where you got to pay to get into the national parks, completely violating the federal mandate that the national parks are free on federal holidays.
Well, it doesn't make any difference because, yesterday he had a rally and I couldn't get through 10 minutes of it. It turned my stomach. Oh my goodness. The things that this man is saying is endangering people's lives and their livelihood. Oh,
I didn't see the rally. What did he say?
Well, of course, he doubled down on the Somalian people. And then, and then he called African countries, what he calls them. And, he was just, he's all over the place. But those are the things that I heard, and I couldn't stomach it because I'm just thinking about a Somalia, a kid going to school and being bullied.
Yeah. And some of them will be bullied because their parents are going to be repeating that nonsense, and the kids are going to follow suit with what their parents say. And I am really pissed off about this whole Venezuelan thing, because let me put it like this. Can Venezuela beat America? No. But can Venezuela pull off a Vietnam type of situation? Yes. Especially since the last 30 plus years, American military forces have been training for desert warfare. We stopped when I came in the Marine Corps. That was one of the last time frames that we trained for jungle training. So everything from 89 all the way up to today is all been desert and urban combat training. We don't know how to fight in the damn jungles no more.
I know.
So that's not going to be, as these politicians are saying, oh, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. No, the fuck is not.
No.
We don't know how to deal with, we don't even use shotguns. Shotguns are very important in jungle training, jungle warfare. And that's something that most military personnel don't know how to use in a jungle situation. Because your enemy could be 10 feet away from you and you not see him. The last 30 years, we've been fighting where we can see a joker a mile away. So I don't like it. And we're doing it over some bullshit because we want Venezuelan oil.
And why can't we go in there as Christian folks and make a deal that will help both sides improve the life down here in South America, and then we wouldn't have any immigrants. And then, people could be happy getting surplus for the
you can't do that.
For the budget.
You can't do that. You gotta be the big kid on the block.
And destroy lives.
Mm-hmm. Christians ain't gonna do hell. The ones in Venezuela, they Christian too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're mostly Catholic, so they ain't doing that either. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Most of the wars that have been fought in the last 2,000 years, or I'm gonna say not 2,000, in the last 1,700 years have been Christian on Christian.
Can't even get together over communion. Oh.
Yeah. So, and my thing against Venezuela is not about the government. It's about the people who got to actually go in there and fight it. Rich people like to start wars that poor people got to fight. And that's bullshit. Yeah. At least go back to the day where the rich folk fought too.
They're not fighting.
No, they're not gonna fight. They like to talk about medieval times, but in medieval times, at least I give the kings and the lords and the dukes, at least they was on the battlefield. These fuckers are not on the battlefield. They sit back in their little office and they send other people to go and fight. So they can kick rocks. But anyway, I done got way off subject. See, this is why I don't do political stuff.
Well, sometimes it comes in. We don't want it to, but it comes in, and get it off your chest.
Yep.
Because honey, after yesterday, I was afraid for my husband because I was like, oh Lord, he going to work. You the only black person up in there, and it's no telling what someone might say to him, or just mistreat him in some kind of way.
Yeah, and hell, I'm concerned. One of my daughters, of my blended family, if you were to see her, actually two of them, you might look at them and think they're Somali. And they just as born and raised in America like anybody else in America. But to look at them, you can automatically say, oh, they look Somali, so we're going to take them. Mm-hmm. And that's bullshit when you got these people out here basing it on what a person looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put it out here. I don't care. Let them try to take one of my daughters.
I was gonna say they gonna bring the Marine out of you.
Let somebody try to take one of my daughters. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even gonna waste time going through some legal action. And I know a lot of people say shit like that, but I back up the shit that I say. I wish a motherfucker would. Sorry for the cursing. I know you don't like the cursing, but I wish they would. I still got friends.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It was. So anyway, you probably just woke up and took care of yourself, and then you jumped on. You probably haven't listened to any of the news. I haven't listened to the news. It was enough for me to hear what I heard and just say our country needs a scientist to discover something so our morality could go up.
Yeah, because there's a person who made a comment telling me he disagreed. Nuclear science improved, but we have become more unethical by using nukes. We haven't used a nuclear bomb, period. I don't know what that commenter is saying. Oh, I think he wants to come on too. But we have not used, when have we used a nuclear bomb? Let me let this joker come on, Miss Fifi.
Okay.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
And take care and have a successful exam tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right. Bye. Let me see if he's still there. And then you'll be next, Billy. If this person is still there. No, I guess he left. But yeah, there was Remy. What does that say? Ibrahim. Yeah, no country has actually used a tactical nuke since Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So your statement of nuclear science improved, but we have become more unethical by using nukes. No, no. Actually, we've used more nuclear science for cancer treatments than we have used it against people and trying to destroy them. Even though I disagree with the use of radiation therapy for cancer, since it has a 98% failure rate. I know this first examination tomorrow has nothing. It's a overall physical, and then I will do some other examinations after that. I can tell you one thing: which I don't plan on ever having cancer, I expect never to have it. I guarantee you, I will not take radiation treatments. Radiation treatments makes no sense to me with a 98% failure rate. So we're gonna bring my man Billy up.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Pretty good, Billy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for letting me in again.
Of course.
Definitely, and I did get your email. I will shoot you an email, anytime soon.
You did?
Uh,
You sent me an email?
no. I say I'm gonna shoot you an email.
Okay.
Yes. Just want you to speak on the topic. I want us to get into it
All right.
about the historical Jesus is fictional, and definitely agree with that because, as far as I can tell. The first, maybe we can say, maybe it's not proof, it's just claim, is from Paul.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, he doesn't know the Jesus that was on this earth. He knows like a spiritual one, like a divine one.
Right.
And when they say that, like when he was in the letters of Paul, he said that he met the disciples, he met Peter, he met James, and the second time he met Peter, James, and John. But for me, what's always fascinated me is how can you meet these people and you spend, because they say he spent 15 days with Peter. This was the right time to write a story of Jesus. You are with somebody who spent almost 3 years with Jesus. You spend with him 15 days. This is the right time to write the story of Jesus. And you don't write nothing. That means Peter never told you about any of his miracles. He never told you about none of that. Because Paul, as far as I can tell, Paul does not mention any miracle of Jesus. He does not mention the birth of Jesus. He does
Nope.
not mention the mother of Jesus. He
Nope.
does not mention his brothers, his family. He does not mention Joseph. It would have been even better if, because Joseph was an old man when he had Jesus, maybe when Joseph died, maybe if Paul was like, I was at the burial of the father of, you know what I'm saying? At least something, but none of that. So for me, that's so doubtful. The first person to write about this character, Jesus, never said nothing about him here on earth. He just know him as a spiritual being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He doesn't know how he looks like. He doesn't know if, because they said that James, or no, these things came later, saying that James was the twin brother of Jesus. They look alike.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even mention that. He does not mention none of that. And the second thing, if he actually really met the disciples of Jesus and he told them about how he met him, maybe during, like, if it was, maybe he received a concussion when he was on a horse, he fell down, he saw Jesus. If he told them what Jesus revealed to him, the disciples will be like, no, that was not Jesus, because Paul contradicts everything Jesus says.
Right.
For me, I always have an issue about, like, Paul contract. That's why I always tell people, you're not Christian. Christianity is Pauline. It's not from Jesus. Jesus was a Jew. He wanted you to follow the law. That was his thing. So imagine the Jesus that was on earth, he said that to follow the law. But the revelation that was revealed to Paul is different because Paul wanted to abolish the law, and the Christianity now already abolished the law. They don't follow it no more. So who are you following? Jesus or you following Paul? That's why for me, every time I tell Christians, no, you guys follow Paul. You don't follow Jesus. Jesus was totally opposed to Paul. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I realize those things, I feel like the Jesus Paul is talking about is different from the Jesus that the Gospels are writing.
No, I agree 100%. That's one of the reasons why I think Paul was an agent of Rome. Uh, letters written,
Mhm.
I think the letters are written by Josephus, and maybe somebody was utilized to impersonate or to be the avatar of those letters, which would then make them Paul. But this person never, ever, ever actually existed in the framework that the Bible says he existed. And he could not have met, I don't think he met the disciples. I think this is a claim that was utilized to give Paul authority.
Mhm.
So think about it like this. So just like half of Paul's letters are written by people who are not Paul, but who are followers of Paul,
Yes.
but they claim the letter is from Paul in order to give the letters authority.
Mhm.
So Luke because Luke is said to have been the one who wrote Acts. Luke was
Mhm.
a disciple of Paul.
Yes, but it contradicts so much, Paul.
Yeah, but he's writing based on Paul's letters. He's not
Yes.
writing based on Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John.
Mhm.
He's writing based on Paul's letters and claiming that there was this first meeting in the first ecumenical meeting in Jerusalem is a way to give Paul authority by attaching Paul to the disciples and the disciples accepting him.
Definitely.
And by their acceptance, it gives Paul credibility. And then
Mm.
after the letters of Paul, then we get these writings that tell the story of this Jesus character. But these are being written for the most part for the Jewish audience.
Definitely.
So it's going to have a lot of Jewish aspects of it, which then creates those
Mm.
contradictions between Jesus and Paul, especially when it comes to salvation and the law. Whereas Paul's writings are geared towards the Gentiles, geared towards the Romans, which why is absent of these of following the law and the Jewish traditions and so on and so forth. And so that creates this whole contradiction in which calls people because to follow Paul's version of Christianity, because Paul's version of Christianity is something that the masses can do, whereas Matthew and especially Matthew and Mark's versions are more geared towards what Jewish people would do. So I'm in agreement with you. Most Christians are following a Pauline type of Christianity, which is different from the Jesus type of Christianity. But of course, they cherry pick which ones to talk about so that they can seem like they are one and the same. Yeah, they're
You're
given.
definitely right.
Yeah, Paul doesn't even talk. He doesn't talk about a resurrection. He doesn't talk
Yes.
about any of that. And then,
Wow.
have you ever
Yes.
have you ever compared? And I know you probably want to say something about the resurrection part, but so I want you to say something about the resurrection part. But let me ask you this question: have you ever compared Euripides' Bacchae to the story of Paul?
No, so I'm still reading those, like, I'm in the classics right now. I've just started to dive deep into it. I haven't yet, but it's on my list.
Okay.
I'm about to read the classics, so I've just started to read the classics, and then next year I'm taking Hebrew class and Greek. So I want to learn these two languages. I want to put it into my repertoire. Since I speak seven, but I want to add these two on my repertoire. Um, yes, but it's gonna be. Tell me more. Tell me a little bit about it.
So in this, so just to give you some highlights, some cliff notes.
Yes.
In the backyard, you have this man. I think it's the king,
Mm-hmm.
and he is he is persecuting the followers of Dionysus, right? And he actually has a meeting with Dionysus, but doesn't know that he's talking to Dionysus. And when Dionysus is asking, why are you persecuting my people and all this kind of stuff, uh, and he convinces him that he shouldn't be persecuting the followers of Dionysus, and that he should be actually part of that relationship with Dionysus. Yeah, he should have a relationship with Dionysus and be a follower of Dionysus. So it has that Paul falling off the horse motif of meeting the actual God, but without knowing that he's talking to the actual God.
Mm.
And then when you, and then Dionysus, he turns water into wine.
Yeah, I know about that, and it's about turning water to wine, but I did not know about that part. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's the main idea of the backyard, is this king who is persecuting Dionysus, the followers of Dionysus, but then Dionysus visits him, and then converts him over to a follower of Dionysus. Uh,
Wow. Yeah, I can really see how how they can compare if you really look deep into it.
yeah, and
And
Dionysus similarities to the Jesus story.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see how that was being used. And this play, this Euripides backyard, was a popular play for over 300 years, and definitely into the first and second century. Um, well,
Wow.
actually, it was a popular play for about 600 years. Sorry, because it lasted in its popularity up until about the second century CE, and I think it was written in the fourth century CE. So there's about a 500-600 years popularity of this story.
Wow. Yeah, that's another clue. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely you got something there because if you look into it, how the similarity, even the some stories of Homer, like even how they can relate. If you read the Gospels and you read the story, some stories of Homer, even like the Odyssey, you're gonna see some things that you're like, really, something is similar,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
definitely. And
because
you're
if
definitely right. I will definitely read it, and then I will also definitely compare. But you've already given me the picture, and I can see.
Yeah. And if you read so you've probably heard of Jason and the Argonauts, that was written
Yes.
by Homer, and
Mm-hmm.
how they went for the Golden Fleece.
Yes.
But if you go read the story of how the Golden Fleece got to where it was at, it sounds eerily like the Abraham sacrificing Isaac story.
Wow, that's so fascinating. That's
Yeah.
so fascinating. I will definitely. I'm really diving into classics, and then I'm gonna be reading while I'm laughing. I'm gonna be reading it while I'm laughing with a lot of gotchas.
And what are your thoughts? Because you are very well educated. Um,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the fact that Paul never details out the resurrection story?
Yes, for me, that's also something because this whole religion is based on a resurrection. If the resurrection ever happened, Paul who even was not gonna see this Jesus if the resurrection didn't happen. So for me, it's so fascinating. The reason why you are having a relationship with this person, or maybe a revelation for on this person, is because of the resurrection. But then you never write about it. It's kind of like somebody telling you that
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I got this house is because this person gave me the money, but he never tells you the name of this person. You're like, what is the reason why you got all of this? You don't even know his name. It's really, it's so doubtful. There's no way I can just accept that this person gave you the money. You don't even know his name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, when I look at it, it just seems to me like Paul maybe was to me it feels like Paul was having another, like of course he was expecting the world to end. That's something that we see throughout his writings. He was expecting the world to end, but it seems like to me like he was kind of desperate and jealous of the people who actually made Jesus, and he wanted to prove that he made a different type of Jesus, and he feel to feel superior. That's how I feel like. Because remember in Acts, he said when Luke said that, saying when he said that Paul met the disciples, he said that they were afraid of him, that the disciples were afraid of him. You know, it seems like what Paul got was like maybe he wanted to elevate himself to show that, I got power, I'm so powerful than these other apostles. That's why he was saying that he's the best. He even called himself an apostle. Jesus never chose you, but you call yourself an apostle, and you want to see. There's even some part where he's even having a face-to-face debate, like with Peter. You know what I'm saying? It's
Uh-huh.
like Paul wanted to elevate himself to show he's superior to the disciple. It seems like Paul wanted to gain, maybe I don't know, to gain trust in this movement. That's what I can say.
No, I'm with you. And I think it's interesting that the part you mentioned about how Paul thought that the world was going to end in his lifetime,
Yes.
that he would think that based on there must be some, there must have been some stories,
Yes.
or some being told that the world was going to end during Paul's lifetime, that Jesus was going to come back
To come back.
within his lifetime. And he writes this in First Corinthians, thinking that that is true, which is why he tells people not to marry. But
To marry. Mm-hmm.
if you're lustful for sex, then it's better to marry than to burn.
Definitely.
And burn with the desire of that lust.
Yes.
And, so he's taking these stories that are being told about this character and writing his own versions of what he thinks people should do and how they should live, and sending these letters, because that was in First Corinthians, I think.
Yes.
How they should live their lives, because this world is going to end now, which then makes Paul a false prophet. But yet, because the world doesn't end, people still are following and believing in him, and he's a false prophet.
Definitely.
So
Just the same with Jesus, because everything they predicted never happened.
Yeah, not one thing ever happened that Jesus predicted. None of them. And
none.
But and the thing about it, during first century and even before first century, for 800 years, well, from 800 years, 800 years prior, apocalyptic writing for the Jewish people was one of the most popular forms of writing for them, because they were being oppressed, or they were, I ain't gonna say oppressed, they were captives of different nations throughout that entire time. So for them, they were looking for an apostle, they were looking for a Messiah, they were looking for a type of heaven place where this guy was going to redeem them. And so all the letters of Paul is doing is capitalizing on that same popularity.
On that same thing, propaganda.
Yeah,
but forgetting that Daniel failed already. Daniel had already failed. So it was, I feel like that was a coping. Daniel was like a coping for the Jews. And I feel like the Gospels are also like they're also coping for the Christians. I feel like it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They are playing on the same field.
And even when Christianity took top stage, they still utilize it as a coping mechanism to oppress their own people.
Definitely.
Oppress whatever new people that they find.
You're definitely right. And that's so when you look at it, it's so like when you see the whole picture, you really see it all. And especially, right now we are approaching Christmas. Today I was thinking about something. I don't know if you ever realized that when you're reading the story, the Jesus story, the birth of him. Whenever I think about, about Bethlehem, if we think about the story of him being born in Bethlehem, when Herod said that they should go start to kill, when Herod heard that the Magi are looking for Jesus, he sent people to kill all the kids that are under 2 for me, then I'd be thinking, if this was really a God, how about these other babies that are gonna be murdered just because for you to be born? How about these babies that are gonna be killed? You know?
Right.
So whenever people say that the birth of Jesus is a beautiful thing, for me, I feel like it's a horrific story because these other babies were killed. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
then imagine just even from just your birth, you Jesus, if you are God, just your birth, like created, a lot of like a lot of murder for these babies, and then you are just we just gonna have to praise you. Like I was so mad when I realized that. I was like, oh, this time I've been reading this too. I never realized that these babies were killed. You know?
Yeah. And the only solace that I take in it is that it is unlikely that the story is true. That
Mm.
never happened
It
because
never happened because Bethlehem had only 300 people. Even if he was looking for
yeah.
during that time, Bethlehem had 300 people, and if they had kids, maybe 12 babies, maybe 10. You know what I'm saying? But then, as you know, Matthew trying to, Matthew. The problem with Matthew, he trying to make Jesus sure that Jesus is the Messiah by quoting the Hebrew Bible in a wrong way to make sure that he like it's like it was like maybe a prophecy being accomplished. Because remember, when Rachel is crying for her children, that was for the Babylonian captivity. But then Matthew brings it in that the baby is being killed in Bethlehem is the fulfillment of the baby, like the one that was in Hosea when the prophet is crying about the mother being weeping, like Rachel is weeping for her children. You know. So Matthew,
Mhm.
he's trying to make it like if, oh, this is another prophecy being fulfilled. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's not. And he misquotes the whole thing as well.
Definitely.
And then there would have been something would have happened within the Roman government if a puppet regime went off and tried to kill all the babies in a town. That
Yes.
there's it's unlikely that the Roman government would not have called that into question since they were under Rome's authority at that time frame. And
Definitely, and don't mind me. The of course, King Herod was, when I read his history, I feel like he was a terrible king. But at the same time, even Josephus wrote about him killing his wife, doing this, but he never wrote about him murdering those children. He never wrote about it. You know what I'm saying? So the same Josephus, Jesus, like the Christian always be like, oh, Josephus wrote about Jesus, but he never wrote about it. You know what I'm saying? So even a historian never mentioned that. If that had happened, it was gonna be a big news. That never happened.
no, and it doesn't. And you would think that Josephus, or even Philo,
Yes,
one of
Philo.
them
Yes.
would have written about that, and neither one of them, from my understanding, write anything about
Mm,
Herod killing kids.
definitely. Yes, I have a question for you, Coach.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that Jesus spoke Greek?
Um, he probably did speak Greek, but being able to write Greek, probably not.
Okay, but the main language that was present where he's from was Aramaic mainly.
Yeah, he
Or
would have if he knew how to write, and
mm,
with him being the son of a stonemason, it's most likely that he did know how to write. Uh, so he would have written in Aramaic, not so much in Greek. He may have been able to speak Greek, but not write Greek. Uh, it's kind of like I took some years of French.
yes,
No, even better. I lived in Germany for 3.5 years.
yes,
30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I could have conversations in German,
mm-hmm.
but if you asked me to write in German, that wasn't going to happen. And it was because I just lived in an area, even though I wrote in English, spoke in English for my job, and grew up that way. I still, in living in Germany, I just learned some German,
Yes,
but then I couldn't write it. I couldn't write nothing in German, maybe a word here or there, but to be able to write a gospel level of writing, hell no. Jesus didn't write in Greek. He wasn't of the upper echelon, which if he was, and if he did exist, he wasn't a person of the upper echelon where you would go and learn how to write in Greek.
Definitely. Yes. And
On the other hand, would have.
yes. And that is like, I always think about it like, the Gospels, how they are written in Greek. But if I think about it, maybe if he spoke sometime in Greek or in Aramaic, it's so hard to tell which parts really can you remember, because I don't think that the apostles or the disciples really, because I remember is it in Acts or in Romans, they are called unlettered, like they were uneducated, the apostles,
Yeah.
Yes, so for me, it shows that they never. It's not Mark who wrote Mark. It's not like, as you said, the names were attributed to these gospels later in 180 CE. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So whenever I realize that, for me, I always tell people, I think it would have been better if this God himself wrote his story down, or maybe maybe because he was having a following, like, let's say the guy who buried him in his tomb, what was his name? Is it John of Arimathea?
Oh, no, his actual name is Josephus of Arimathea.
Josephus of around. So if Josephus was rich, so you mean because there's also another woman who was also rich, who was working with Jesus. Why they didn't have any scribe to write the story, maybe to write a story? You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
You would
Just
think
like how just like
Martha
how
would
Paul
have
used
asked
to
somebody.
do it. Like Paul did not write all his letter. In some letters, you can see Paul was just dictating. Someone else was writing the letters. You can see that someone else was writing the letter for Paul, but Paul was just speaking. Then someone else will write those letters. So I'm wondering why didn't Jesus or his disciples talk to Joseph Arimathea, who was rich, to get a scribe and let him sit down and write this story about this guy.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
and
saying?
and you would think that Martha, who was a follower of his, would have, and she was wealthy, that she would have had, being a wealthy woman, she would have had scribes, or at
Yes.
least could have paid a scribe to write certain things. You would think that Martha would have had, especially since he resurrected her brother, would have had
Yes.
the
Oh,
ability.
Martha was the sister of Lazarus.
Yeah,
Yes.
you would think that she would have had somebody write down these amazing things that this so-called character did, but
Yes.
Martha doesn't have anybody write anything down, and it wasn't like scroll writing was this thing that didn't happen during their time frame. It was a big thing during their time frame to write shit down. So the fact that he didn't, that there's no evidence of that, it calls into question: was there this walking around? Was this dude walking around doing this preaching or not?
Definitely. And also there are some miracles that Jesus did that I've always questioned, especially the one of spitting in the mud, then after putting it on someone's eyes. For me, I feel like whenever Christians see people doing Hellenistic, like maybe they see like African people do the juju stuff, oh, this guy, that's the devilish thing. But I'm like, if these people saw Jesus spit in the mud and do that, they would have called Jesus like, oh, this from the devil. Because there are two places where Jesus healed somebody by using material stuff. Without, it's not just praying, he's using stuff. You know what I'm saying? They could have called him a magician, or maybe a sorcerer. Because you remember when he puts it in, when he does that miracle. The first time the guy doesn't see, he said, "I only see trees." Then people are trees. Then he does it a second time. Then it works. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that miracle, or I always question that miracle whenever I read the text.
And I additionally question it because you can find that miracle in the that was supposedly done by Apollonius of Tyre.
Yeah, Apollonius. Yeah, he did. He
And
did spit in
then,
someone's face.
yep, and then you find that same miracle being done by Vespasian
Yes,
through the power of Serapis down in Egypt where
Serapis.
he went to Rome.
Yes,
So
sir.
we got this story being written down we got the two versions of the same thing happening at different time frames. One in the 1st century, the second time it's being written is in the 2nd century by Tacitus. But they are, and then it's copied into, I say it's copied into the Jesus narrative because it was a popular form of miracle working. And
Definitely.
Apollonius was claimed to be a magician who was just creating disturbances within the Roman Empire. That he was a magician who was predicting things that was against the Roman emperor. And so then he was brought into a court and they was going to kill him, but then he escapes and he flies up to heaven.
Mm.
So you have these similar stories, and then Vespasian does it, but after he does that, then he's made the emperor of Rome, so he sits on a throne now.
Yes.
You can see, and so the Jesus character, after all his miracles, he sits on a throne, but it's this ethereal throne, not a physical throne, which goes against the prophecy that the Messiah is going to sit on the throne of David. The seed of David will never leave it, and the Levitical priests will have all the sacrifices that they can use
For all time and for all time. That was forever. You know what? For me, I always tell people, by the time Jesus came, the messianic prophets had already failed, because he said it was supposed to be there forever. So by the time you come, it has already failed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by the time you come, these people have been like they've just come from the Babylonian captivity. They don't have any king. They don't have nothing. It had already failed already. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I look people saying Jesus was the Messiah, I always laugh harder because I know that it was always a failure before even Jesus was born. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if that was going to happen, then the temple would have never been torn down.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temple would not have been never torn down. You know what I'm saying? And a few days ago, I was having a conversation with this Christian who told me that, who was telling me that that Jesus was the last sacrifice. I told him no, because in the Messianic age, they're still gonna offer sacrifices. They're still gonna offer. If you read in Ezekiel, they're still gonna offer sacrifices for all time, grand sacrifices. They're still gonna be there. And I told him, he was like, no, that was for the second temple. I told him, no, that's for the third temple. I told him, look at the measurement. The third temple is 500 by 500 cubits, but the second temple was 30, like 60 by 30. It was small. You know, I told him that. Look. But he was kind of like, no, that's the second temple. It's not the third temple, because the third temple is spiritual. I'm like, you see now, everything for you guys is spiritual. You try
Right.
to make it spiritual. Jesus will have accomplished miracles spiritual. If it's like that, we can take anybody who ever claimed to be the Messiah, saying that they did accomplish these prophecies spiritual. There is this guy, is it Babkova? Is it
Barabbas.
Yes, this Jew guy, this guy he even ran for 3 years. Babkova, what's his name? He got killed in he was a Jewish Messiah. He was once considered a
Oh,
Jewish Messiah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yes. Is it
Is
Babkova? Is it
you talking about he's like in the 20th century, like 19 something.
yes, Jewish Messiah? Yes, he was Jewish Messiah, but he got killed by Romans.
Oh wait, you're talking about you are talking about, so that's Barabbas.
Barkoba.
I'm not sure.
Like Simon Barkova. You don't know the Barkova revolt? Simon Barkova.
Oh, yes.
You know, he was killed. He was considered a messiah for the Jews. He was killed in like the first century, early first century, in the 130. You know, this guy accomplished more miracles. You know, more miracles than you once talked about him. I once saw one of your video. You talked about him. You know, he accomplished more miracles, like more like messianic prophecy than Jesus, because at least for him he was a king. Jesus was never a king. At least for him, he reigned for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
Jesus never did none of that. You know what I'm saying? So whenever they bring there, I always tell them, you know what? No, I think you guys are just wrong about it, because we know people who did more things more than Jesus, but we don't consider them Messiah at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
And I've been in also into art. I used to look so I'm so into painting and stuff, and I always look at the like earlier paintings of Jesus. I used to wonder why they describe they depict him with having a stick, and this stick used to be for the magician. But when I read about that miracle that I told you about, when he's healing somebody by spitting in the mud, I realized this was one of the reasons why he was once considered a magician. Because the earliest like paintings of Jesus is depicted as a magician. You know what I'm saying? With the stick of magicians, And whenever we look at those things, it just shows us that this guy is now who the gospel think. They try to tell us that the gospel, like the son of God, is not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And again, as you say, to be Jesus to be historical, it's so impossible because he was not. There are many people who are historical and who have better evidence. Because I'm seeing these days, I'm seeing a lot of Christians running with this thing that Alexander the Great didn't have a lot. I'm like, what? Alexander the Great he have more. He has a lot of. He had a lot of contemporary work. He wrote himself. He wrote something. We still have coins that are still in the 300 BC. Even his death, the people wrote when he was dying, they wrote something about his death on the same day he died. I'm like, you people don't even know what you're talking about. Alexander the Great was something else. He has more evidence, more than Jesus.
Oh, definitely. And also there's a battle that he did. It was a revenge battle that he burned the shit out this one town. And we have the evidence of him destroying this one town. And so there's also archaeological evidence beyond the coins and the statues and the writings.
In Egypt, Egypt, there are writings of him in Egypt,
What was the name of that damn town? He burnt the shit out of some town. So I mean, it shows archaeological evidence of that he fought these people.
Yes.
So we can see that Alexander existed. And it's beyond just, even though we do have contemporary writings, which we have zero contemporary writings of Jesus, we got contemporary writings of Alexander. And they always try to say that they have more evidence of Alexander than they do of Jesus. And I'm like, no, you're just talking about the 5 biographies that are written like 300 years after him. But those quote some of the writings that we still have, little scraps of the original writings from the people who was walking around with Alexander at that time.
Definitely we have, from his generals writing. I think even the town he was talking about, I was reading I've been reading some books about him. I think is Persepolis. Is it the town you're talking about? Persepolis, the one he burned down. I think is Persepolis, if I'm not mistaken, of the town that he burned down. Yeah.
Yeah, Persepolis.
Yes. we have writings of those people writing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was the Persian capital.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it was Persian capital of Persepolis that he burnt that shit down. I forgot what he was so vengeful about that city about. I think they did something to his dad or some shit like that. That caused him to burn the city to the ground.
Definitely. And this is the thing that these days I'm reading these classics, and something that I've realized, like the Gospels read exactly like these writings. This was the same genre. These people, they write true history, but they put in mythological things inside of them. It's the same thing with the Gospel. That's why I always tell people, I'm gonna read the Gospel the same way I read the classics. I'm gonna see the history in it, but the mythology I'm not gonna accept it, because I'm not gonna accept the mythology about Alexander the Great. So why do you want me to accept the mythology about Jesus? When I read Matthew, it reads almost the same with Alexander's thing, So whenever people always want to make it feel like if this is special, I'll be like, no, it's not special. It reads exactly the same.
Yeah, and they do. They all you can see. That's one of the things that linguistic archaeology looks at, is the style of writing during the different time frames, and how those styles also incorporate whatever popular motif is going on at the time frame. And you can see the Greek influence of how to tell the Greek stories during the time frame of the writing of the Gospels, and you can see the Persian influence and the Babylonian influence in some of your Old Testament writings, and how these
Yes,
people wrote. And they took these same mythologies and converted them over into their own stories.
you're
Just
definitely right.
the original writings, they took these Canaanite stories and made them into this first version of Israelite stories. And those
Mm,
Canaanite stories, you can tell that they took them from the Akkadians and the Sumerians, and they just kept massaging the story over the centuries based on their time frames. That's why Daniel is
mm,
not written by the same author. It's written by multiple authors over like 150, 160 years.
definitely, yes,
Still is written
yes.
over a 200-year time frame.
Yes, and that's the same thing that I be telling people. The Bible is not univocal. When you think the Bible is univocal, you're gonna lose a lot because it's not. Because there are more than 100 writers and editors who are doing this job, and they don't agree with each other. So there's no way it can be univocal.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, we can see that from Genesis all the way through to Revelations that these are different writers who are making they make God different, they make Jesus different, the Exodus is different. All these different writings are all different because and they have different, and it demonstrates the different concepts that these people had about God, even
Hmm.
patriarchs and all of the prophets and everybody else. Yeah,
You're
you,
definitely right.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
think
And I want to
the
thank you so much for letting me in again today. I learned a lot, and I really like the knowledge that you've shared with me. I will go back listen to it so I can make some notes because I always want to take notes whenever I learn something new. And
and let
thank you
me
so much. I will definitely shoot you an email.
yeah.
Hopefully someday maybe we'll host something together. But thank you so much, Coach.
No
Um,
problem. And
I'm
I look
learning.
forward
I'm still
to
learning, and thank you for sharing everything.
yeah, send me the email so we can schedule a co-hosting appearance, and then I'm gonna hound your ass about starting your own podcast. Just to let you
Thank
know.
you so much. I appreciate it. Have
All
a
right,
good day.
you too.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Put a one in the comments if you think Billy should start his own podcast, because I think Billy should start a podcast. Uh, honestly, do, and especially I think he said he speaks 7 languages. Yeah, start a podcast, my guy. Mini boss,
Hi there, Coach.
how you doing?
I agree that Jesus is legend at best, but I think that he was a historical figure. That there were many Jesuses, like you said, Josephus talked about. But I definitely think legend was added onto him after as the time went on, based off of other figures like Mithras and Osiris and all of those guys.
Okay.
That's what I think about him.
Well, I can agree that he's a legendized character,
Yeah, he's a definitely a legendized
but
character.
I don't see any evidence of there being one single person
Yeah,
that,
me neither.
and that wouldn't make him a historical character.
Mhm.
So like we have legends about David Crockett, we have legends about John Henry,
Yeah,
but they were actual individual persons that then their story was legendized.
that's what I think Jesus was, sir.
But he
I
would
don't
have to
think it was. I don't think he was wasn't one person. I think he was a bunch of people that.
then he's not historical.
Yeah, you're right. I'm stupid.
If it's a mixture of a bunch of different people,
Yeah.
then that is not a historical character.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's a
Did you know? I'm surprised that you see that Jesus picture to your far left, the one with the hat on. Did you know that dude was a murderer?
yeah, that's Caesarea Borgia.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one that knew about that guy. I thought the one that most people knew about was the Salmon Jesus. You know what I'm talking about?
The who?
Salmon.
Salmon.
Salmon. He was an actor. Salmon. Sallman. He's an actor that they chose him to be the new face of Jesus in the 1940s. That's who most of the main Jesus pictures are painted off of now.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah, that guy. I thought that was the
Oh,
most famous one. I didn't even know you knew about the murderer
yeah.
guy.
So that's one of the ones in the middle, right next to Caesarea Borgia.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, no. There's a ton of people who know that the one of the first Caucasian versions of Jesus was Caesarea Borgia. and that he was the son of what I forgot what pope. I think one of the Leo popes at the time, and he was the son of one of them, and he was the one that posed for the picture to be determined to be Jesus.
I'm gonna use your consulting thingy when you come out with it. How do you start it? Are you registered or anything? Did you sign up with the government?
What do you mean?
Your business you're coming out with.
So you would have to own an IT firm, or you have to need IT security, and financial management.
Do
Now,
you
the
have that?
financial management wing is going to take a little bit of time to get that one established because there are certain things that I have to do in order to do that. The IT consulting part, that's going to be pretty quick and easy. That'll be set up by February.
Oh, so you'll be open by February. Cool.
As far as the IT consulting part, sometime in February, that part will be established.
And you're registered and everything. I hope you post a link because I want to use you guys. Cool. What does that do?
IT security consulting firm pretty much just sets up and monitors and assists in your IT security for your company or your 501c3 or whatever you have. So, do you own a company?
Huh?
Do you own a company?
No.
Yeah, then you wouldn't use it.
Okay, I was just wondering. And final question. When Christianity is proven to be fake and everything, if somebody does invent like resurrection like 2 trillion years from now and you get resurrected, what do you think you'll be doing in the future?
What?
If somebody does invent resurrection like 200 million years into the future and they resurrect you, what do you think the first thing you'd like to do would be? You wouldn't still be making deconstructing Christianity.
If somebody invents a way to resurrect people, I don't know, because you would have to be able to resurrect my consciousness as well, and put it back in my body, put it in a body.
I would like to watch. I would like to get on YouTube and see what new stuff is.
In 200 million years, YouTube won't exist.
Maybe somebody will pass it down or something.
Humans probably won't exist in 200 million years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything on this planet goes through cycles, and most things become extinct on this planet. So I doubt if human civilization will last 200 million years.
Final question. What do you think your topic will be tomorrow, Coach?
I have no idea. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to do a show tomorrow because I have medical exams tomorrow. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to have the ability to do a show tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Good night, Coach.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Well, good afternoon. I have no idea what I'm. Yeah, I never know what I'm talking about from day to day. Hell, sometimes I don't even come up with the subject matter until like 5 minutes before the show starts. I don't know. People think I think about this all day. I don't think about this all day. Once I get off here and after I have lunch, I do a couple of videos. And after that, I don't think about this for the rest of the day. Right. I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I might see something that I say, "Ooh, I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow." But most of the time, I don't think about this. People think that I spend my life thinking, no, I don't. There are far better things for me to spend my time doing, especially once my wife gets home. I don't think about this at all. At all. So yeah. But as far as business is concerned, definitely sign up for the business seminar that I'm doing on Sunday. 9 businesses you should start in 2026. I'm not saying that you need to start every business that I talk about, but one of them that I'm going to talk about should perk your interest, and I'll give you the pathway to get started on that particular business. And one of them I just just mentioned. If you have the ability, the talent, and the wherewithal to do it, but like Billy should start a podcast. And with him being, I think he's Congolese, with him being Congolese and speaking 7 different languages, he could create a podcast business, right? Podcast is one of those businesses that you should be starting next year. You should be starting it now, but I'm just saying 2026, you should be starting a podcast. And it doesn't have to be about this subject matter. Many of you have important information or talents that you can utilize to start a podcast on, and you don't even know it. The world is so big now, but it's actually so small that you have access to people all over the world. And so one of the examples I always love to give, because I found it the most crazy, is a lady that I met in 2017. Yeah, 2017. And she gets paid to go, at the time frame, she wasn't doing podcasts. She was just doing YouTube. But she was getting paid to go to a national convention for people who knit, crocheting and shit. And she got paid like 10 grand on top of, travel and food to go to Vegas to speak and to demonstrate at a damn knitting convention. So subject matters that you think are not, that nobody would listen to, bullshit. There are people who are waiting to hear you, right? Or see your talent. One of my children she started her channel where she's an artist, where she's showing her art and demonstrating how she makes her art. She's an artist, like paint, drawings, all that shit. So yeah, if you're a sculptor, if you are a construction worker, one of the biggest channel that is growing like crazy is people cutting fucking grass. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen, I forgot the name of it. The main one. There's multiple ones now, but he finds these yards that look terrible and he cuts them. He cleans the yard up. People watch it. And if you have creativity in different methods, you need to start doing that now. So that's why I'm doing this seminar, 9 businesses you should start in 2026. The link is in the description of this video on YouTube. There's a post yesterday on Facebook, and I just put the link in the comments on here. Now, I did see a couple of statements where did I see those statements? I did see a couple of statements that intrigued me. One statement, I think Out of Babylon, said something about they didn't have metal. They didn't wear armor and have metal shield. Didn't have swords or some shit like that. He said, there's a reason why we call it the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, is because human beings have been smelting metals for a long ass time. You don't need modern day tools to make a sword, right? We can look at Japanese history, Chinese history, the history of the Mediterranean, and we see people digging up iron ore or iron and digging up, is it tin and other elements, and then smelting those and making swords, shields, one of the reasons why the Spartans were able, and even though the movie is grossly non-historical, some of the historical aspects of it is that the Spartans were able to fend off Xerxes' army for a while at the Hot Gates because they use iron. I mean, they were using, metal, whereas most of the Persian army was still using like skins and wicker pretty much to fight. So the statement that they didn't have swords, metal swords, is just foolishness. That's just, I don't know history. I just don't know history. because men have been smelting metals for. How do you think they made all those gold trinkets and things of that nature that we find on buildings? And when they find places like tombs in Egypt from the 3,000 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, they find metal objects and that have been smelted and formed into other objects, and they have gold, and the gold is at different levels of purification. Is because they knew how to work with metals. So that statement, I saw that one, and I just found it hilarious that somebody would say that. He's still sticking with it. He's still sticking with it. Look at it. Hundreds, if not thousands of swords, no power tools. That is so funny to me. Let me tell you what you need. You need fire, a cauldron, and you need hammers. Those are your primary things. There's other tools that you utilize as well. Oh man, I wish I could remember the name of this show. My wife loves this damn show where they have to make certain weapons, and these guys are utilizing the overwhelming majority of the tools they use are non-power tools. This is crazy. And that is the fact that you can use that people were able. We find ancient swords. What in the 3 levels of hell is going on in your mind out of Babylon? We find ancient swords. Yes, forged in fire. Yeah, out of Babylon. Go watch this show. It's called Forged in Fire. Right? And you will see, for the most part, there are no power tools being used. He's still doubling down. He's still doubling down. He said, and I got to read it for the TikTok people. You used to watch that show, Miss Fifi? It's a good show. Where did they get the metal? They dig it up. How did they transport it? Horse and carriage and people's backs. What roads? The Roman roads. But even before the Roman roads, people still had trails and pathways. And the weather, no problem. Oh my gosh. The weather has nothing to do with you being able to dig up iron ore or dig up other metals and then start mixing some of those metals to make other metals. And like I said, there's a reason why it's called the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. The fact that I think copper and tin is copper. I think copper is a mixture of metals. I don't think copper is found naturally, but they were able to produce copper. And you think they didn't? What you thought? You think they was out there fighting with sticks? They was out there fighting with sticks. Oh man. And he thinks that because they didn't have power tools, they was able to do this, they were more advanced than we are today. What the fuck? The only steel that we haven't figured out that was the best type of steel was Damascus steel. That technique of making steel was lost. But Damascus steel is one of those things that people are trying to figure out how they made. But we know how they made all the other steels, and all of our steel we make today is better than the steel they made back then. So your whole statement of they were more advanced than us is ludicrous. Roman concrete, even though recently we've discovered how they actually made Roman concrete, I don't think Roman concrete is ever going to be mass produced like it was during the Roman era, because it would destabilize certain industries if we use Roman concrete. Because, we live in a society now where shit need to break, right? It's like this house that we're moving out of, one of the reasons why I want to move out of this house is because the foundation is cracked. And you can see the evidence of the foundation being cracked in this house. If this house had Roman concrete, it wouldn't crack. You said copper is pure. What is this? What is something? I know aluminum is not, but so copper is pure. What the hell is not pure? Oh yeah, copper is found pure. Yep. There is a metal. What is the metal that's not? I know steel is not. So you can find copper, right? You can dig up some copper. And then when you dig up the copper, you melt it, get the impurities out. And after watching Forged in Fire with my wife a few times, you merge these metals with other metals to make certain shit, make other metals. Then what happens when it goes back to the owner? Are you talking about this house? I don't know. I recommended to him that he, instead of renting it out to another person, that he fix the problem. And I find a lot of houses in San Antonio, they have, it's a big business in San Antonio to fix, what I say, foundations, to fix foundations, because one, they don't have flood control in this city. It rains a little too hard and every damn thing flood. Brass, thank you. I was thinking about brass. Thank you, Isaac. Yeah, these houses be slipping and sliding here in San Antonio. They need some, if they were to use Roman concrete in San Antonio, there's a lot of businesses that's gonna go out of business. This joker trying to stand on some, they were more advanced back then. People kill me with that. They were more advanced back then. Why they ain't have the internet back then? Where was the internet? Where was their computers back then? Yeah, brass is a combination. Thank you. I knew there was some metal that I was thinking about. I couldn't think about that, but it's a combination of metals other than steel. Yeah, but the joker tried to say they were more advanced. I forgot what more advanced back then. Everybody always want to make people back in time more advanced than what we are today. When them jokers didn't have a tenth of the things that we have today. And yeah, there's a few things that we can't figure out what they did. Ooh, that makes them more advanced. Whatever. You talking about people, if they had a toothache, they was dying from a toothache. You get the flu, and that way you might die from the flu. Come on, man. Just looking at medical science, we are way more advanced than they were. Even though a lot of our shit is chemicalized today, we were still more advanced than they were in medical science, in surgeries, all that sort of thing. So get out of here with that bullshit. Where was their car at? Where was their combustion engine? Why weren't they flying? What they ain't had Delta? All right. Oh, even though, okay, this has been 3 hours and 17 minutes. It's time to get off this thing. Plus, I started an hour late and it's 3:17 p.m. and I got some videos to make as well as eat lunch because I'm hungry. So I appreciate you guys saying. Remember, tomorrow, I have medical appointments. It's probably not going to be alive because by the time I get home and everything, I won't have enough time before I have to go pick up my wife. So yeah, probably not gonna have a show tomorrow. Probably not gonna have one tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a short show on Friday. Maybe we'll have a show on Friday since I won't be able to do one tomorrow. Yeah, I won't be able to do one tomorrow. That's a guarantee. So maybe we'll have a show on Friday to replace the show that we're doing today, that we won't be doing tomorrow. So let's look for Friday out. Of course, I'll post it out what time the show is going to be. But y'all have a great evening. Sign up for the webinar that we're doing. right now there's a couple few people who are going to be on there already signed up for Sunday. And I don't care if there was, it's more than one person, so it's a couple of few people. And so those couple of few people probably wanted to stay a couple of few people so that they can ask more questions and we can get into more details. But definitely, if you want to increase your finances with a business, you want to be on that one. I'll probably do another Financially on Fire seminar soon, so that you can learn how to fix your credit, how to manage your money, and things of that nature, how to budget, how understand how money works. So yeah, look for that. But anyway, in the meantime, in between time, y'all have a great day. Thank you for sharing all the videos, for being subscription holders, subscribers. I appreciate all of that. I truly do. Those who donate to the channel through Cash App, those who give gifts, I appreciate that tremendously. So I appreciate everybody who's here and all your comments, because your comments help move the needle as well. We're continuing looking to grow these channels so that I can demonstrate to you guys how to grow a channel. I can already, if you didn't see The Truth Wanted, you can still go to Truth Wanted and see the episode that I did with Truth Wanted. What made me think about that is the fact that I was tripping because I have actually more followers than Truth Wanted. But before the show, we actually went over a bunch of stuff of how to grow Truth Wanted, how to grow that channel. So, but it was a good show. Had a couple of people talking about some crazy stuff, but I love the last caller. The last caller that we spoke to on Truth Wanted was somebody who deconstructed from Christianity, still in the process of deconstructing, and has lost family members, friends, and feels alone. And I think we gave her some good advice about her going through those stages of deconstructing. And I think many of you should, if you don't listen to the whole thing, go find where we talked to this lady at the end. I forgot her name, but towards the end of the show, when we was talking to her, if you're struggling with your deconstructing, the emotional part and the family and the community part, that part, some great advice was given. And I think you should go and listen to that on Truth Wanted that we did last week. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And y'all can keep arguing about blacksmithing, because obviously out of Babylon don't know anything about the history of being a blacksmith.